On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will hopefully be talking to a special guest, one who has directly worked on recent Star Wars films and TV shows using real-ass paint skills. They'll also break down episode 6 of The Bad Batch, you know, the one with the sisters, and they'll also try to correctly guess who the mystery character was.
This is one of our longer intros here. I must have been full of hot air this morning when I cut
the
it.
boys
So
will cover
got about
it's nothing to
minute
get too
left.
excited about, but apparently the Star Wars
Please,
internet thinks so. So the SWS team will commit.
Well, you could pull it up on our channel, but there's always going to be a delay, so it'd probably throw you off a little bit. But I can surely have Spencer send you the link after it's all up, because we'll continue on with the rest of the show after
the legend you all once
we're done
told
with our
Matt
chat.
about. Finally, the show will wrap with this week's fan segment, which will include fan responses
we tend to get sometimes 20, 30
and
people
our top
will be
5
in there
Star Wars
in
fan
the live
artist
stream just
features
chatting,
gallery.
watching along.
Punch it, Chewie.
And usually around 500 to 600 people end up either listening on the podcast platforms, plus another 100 or so on YouTube. So we're not massive, but we are growing a bit. And our following seems to be somewhat diehard, so they're decent fans. All right. Here we go. Hey now, everybody! Welcome back to a new episode of the Star Wars Time Show. And if you're watching on the live stream, you surely are going, WTF. This isn't the Star Wars Time Show. Well, you're not wrong. It's still the Star Wars Time Show, but we got a special guest today in the form of Vincent Jenkins Jr., who is a real deal, real-ass painter, as we call him on this show, because, we're not highfalutin. We don't know all the technical terms, but in all seriousness, Vincent is like I said, a real deal concept artist who has worked on some Disney Star Wars projects, and I believe some other stuff for that whole Disney universe. But obviously, we're going to talk about some of Vincent's Star Wars work, what that's like, how he got there, how he picked up the magic in his hands to be able to create art, just using his digits in his brain, which on this show, Vincent, I know you've probably never tuned in, and we won't blame you for that, because we're not anything special. But every show we feature a top 5 featured fan artist segment. And we usually pull the artists from our Instagram feed, and the art ranges from toy photography to traditional art, like your area, tattoos, cosplay, or whatever. So our following is into art, and there's a lot of artists in the Star Wars Time Show fan base. So it is awesome to talk to an artist that is making a living, I would assume a pretty good living, based on your ability to put a concept to a piece of paper and have someone then expand upon that into a film set, a character's costumes or whatever. So it's awesome to have you here talking some real deal Star Wars work.
Thanks for having me, man. It's very exciting.
Yeah, so before we really get into what you've done on Star Wars, we typically like to build as much as we can, kind of a guess Star Wars bio, if you will, in terms of your connection to the franchise, maybe before you started working in it, maybe some of your thoughts on the franchise over the years, and then we'll kind of get into what you're doing with Star Wars. So I guess first and foremost, a very important question. Are you a fan of the Star Wars, or were you a fan before you started working in the arena?
Yeah, well, it's a story you've probably heard a lot in the past. I just, obviously, like everyone, grew up watching Star Wars. I was more of a film fan. I was kind of from the angle of I loved filmmaking and the magic of filmmaking, the magic trick of it. And I think Star Wars, when I was watching it, I was amazed at the impact that had. When everything can be right, like design, the story, editing, the design of the creatures, the lighting, just everything. And that's when I fell in love with it. So I grew up with it. I was always drawing from a young age. I used to, them old days where I used to pause the VCR and then try and draw because we had obviously no internet.
Yeah, so I'm guessing you grew up with the original trilogy then, if you're busting out the old VCR remote and pausing it to take a sketch or whatnot.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
I was pausing it and drawing what I could. And a lot of artists my age are doing that. And then, you start to learn that that's there's people that it's a job. And I learned that from a very early age. I think I was watching, the one where I worked it out was the first Batman, the Tim Burton Batman.
Okay, yeah.
And I had an art of book. So I don't think I even had I don't think I had art of our Star Wars. I don't think they were.
He didn't. I mean, I know over the years. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's that massive Ralph McQuarrie collection.
Yeah, I've got that.
Okay, that thing. I mean, it weighs like 100 pounds, right? I mean, it is a legit collection of that man's concept art. But I think you're right. When the movies first came out, and we're talking about the original trilogy, and I don't even think the prequels were getting the art of books that some of the sequel films have gotten. I know Solo got one. I think Rogue One got one, but back then you
were it was scarce. I mean, well, I didn't have one, and the Batman film was the first. It was like that was kind of a marketing thing. You had a movie mag, the making of, and it had a lot of concept art in there and storybooks, and that's when I went, oh my god, it's a thing. It's I can do this, and I learned that from very young age. So I wanted to work on Star Wars. I knew I'd never get there. So but I want to work on films. So that's where I've come from. I've come from a kid that is drawing all the time, painting all the time, wanting to learn every day how to get better and better and better.
So where do you think that came from, Vincent? I mean, are your parents artists, or was it just something you found as a kid? You just naturally were drawn to pen and paper, paint and paper.
My dad could do it, but he never pushed it. Or I always sort of remember drawing first, and then my dad doing something. Oh, I can draw, and he did I remember he did a portrait. I think it was Bill Murray, and then I was bloody hell, my dad can do it. And then that inspired me to just keep going on. But no, I just could see. I sort of had a very understanding of how. How visuals work and lighting.
So it came natural to you because Nick and I mean, when like I said, when we're doing that top 5 and we're looking at, as we call it, like a bunch of dummies, real ass paint, it really is mind-boggling to someone like myself that can hardly draw a straight line, can't do an actual circle. My handwriting still looks like I'm 5 years old. So I really do. And we're like, you people are wizards, you're magicians, you've sold your soul to the devil. It's mind-boggling to people like us, I think, that someone like you can just grab a tool and basically recreate what's in your head using your hands, your fingers, and paper or a canvas.
It's like when I talk to artists about it too, we don't understand why it's. We don't understand the amazement of. I mean, I think because we know that it's just. I mean, I'm not saying when I started and I was 5, I was brilliant. I mean, people were going, "Wow, I can't believe you can do that."
Okay.
At a certain age, but it wasn't. I didn't. I'm still think I'm not very good. I'm still. And that's a lot of artists like that. They're just going, oh, I've got a lot to learn. That's. But I think it's just a lot of practice and working out how things, how to make a picture. I mean, it's like anything. The more I don't know. I think you can get taught this stuff if you want to do it. Anyone, even if you can't draw, if I had to, I could make you draw, and I could make you.
Oh boy, that scares the shit out of me because I was never good in art class. I was always the one making stuff that's like, hey, is this kid all right? Like, is his brain wired correctly? Like, we just asked him to sculpt a ball and he can't even do that. He gave us a cube. But maybe it is like that 10,000 hour thing. You can master it if you put the time in. But I do think, and you've said as much. It is somewhat of a natural inclination sometimes for people like you when you're young And then if you have a passion for it, obviously you are going to put in those 10,000 hours to try and perfect it. But I'm just...
Yeah, it's also a thing as well. It's like you can't... I knew I couldn't... I wasn't interested in anything. Like through primary school, high school, I couldn't think of anything but wanting to draw. And I wasn't really good at anything. I wasn't good at remembering anything. You know, like I was terrible at maths. I wanted to be really good at maths. My dad is really good at maths. I just couldn't do it, and so I always had to fall back on. Well, I'm good at drawing. Everyone seems to be amazing at draw stuff. I don't want to work in a I can't work in a bank, or I couldn't do that. I have to be able to draw every day. So that just spurred me on just to get good at it, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, that's honestly, I'm kind of jealous of people like you that kind of knew who they were and what they wanted to do at that young of an age. Because I'm someone that, I'm about to turn 41, and I still don't know if I'm doing exactly what I want to do in life. I've had a good life. I've done well. I'm outside of this little jobby. I'm a college professor. But I was, unlike you, I was never sitting there going, all right, if this doesn't work out, I know my art talent, what I really want to do, that's something I could pursue. I am jealous of those of you that figure out your life path that early on. But I think it allows you, and probably helped you, get to where you are as a concept artist on some major-ass motion pictures.
Yeah. Really did. It was good.
Did you go to art school then, or are you what you would call self-taught?
Self-taught. Yeah, always doing cartoons, doing portraits, real life stuff. Then I met I was always getting told off for drawing on my books, my textbooks, getting in trouble because I just couldn't stop drawing. And then all my mates could see that I could draw Akira or whatever, and then they want Akira on his bike on their books, and then someone else. And I was just drawing and getting told off. And then when we have work experience, so I'm slightly in the States, but we have work experience, and you go off and you get to go to do a work experience thing, and you're working at a co-op. And my mum was like, "Oh no, I don't want you to work in the shop. You need to go and go work for an artist, a proper painter." So that was when I started to learn airbrushing. So I got into airbrushing for one of the top airbrush artists in the country. And he was doing cars, and we did portrait. His wife was married to Ronnie Wood at the time from Rolling Stone. So we were doing
Oh, jeez. Look at that. Small world, huh?
Yeah, yes. So we were doing that, and I was he taught me how to actually paint and airbrush and all some tricks, and that's when I went bush. Then I was doing paintings of like Arnold Schwarzenegger and all these film people, and then that's when I came out of school, went to college, showed them. They went, "Wow, okay, yes, come here." So college was good.
Did you get any? Did they? I don't know. Do you guys have like full ride scholarships over there? I mean, were you good enough that they're like, "Hey, we'll pay you to come here"? Or did you still have to?
It was like I think you just had to have certain grades from school, but because I didn't have them grades, because as I said, I wasn't very good at school. That the portrait I brought in of Arnie from Terminator,
that worked.
Like the perfect photo of him.
Yeah.
Even now, it's on my dad's guy. It's really good. I was like, I was just going into college. They were like, yeah, well, based on that,
That is fantastic.
So I wouldn't have got in if I didn't took Arnie.
You hear that, people? If you can paint really great pictures of Arnold Schwarzenegger, who cares about your high school GPA or any of that stuff? That's great.
Yeah,
but I mean, hey, in the end, if you're going to a school like that, I mean, if you didn't do well in math or science, but you can show them a masterpiece, at that age, you're probably in your teens. Who cares, right? I mean, who cares in the end? Because look, it all worked out. I mean, again, I'm an educator myself, but a lot of times, especially what I teach is computer science, if students can showcase the skill set, just like an artist, I don't really care what they're doing in biological science or English or stuff like that. And the world is honestly, it's finally changing that way, at least here in corporate America. They're not so concerned about, oh, you got to have your 4-year degree before we even talk to you. Now it's more skills-based. Show me what you can do. I don't care if you went to Ohio State or Oxford.
Yeah.
We want you.
Yeah. That's right, yeah. And that's when you meet the people. Like, when I was at college, I had a great tutor, Barry Willis. He saw the potential I had, because I came from a school that was still like, I don't care if you can paint like this. They just even in art class, they were just like, so what? I was just kind of, you're never going to make a living out of it. Oh, stupid, stop doing it. Even in my art class, it was like that. They were pushing like me to splash paint on the canvas, and yeah, that's it. They were pushing like modern art, and I was showing them like I could actually paint some houses and like do a landscape. Like, interesting. But when I went to college, my tutors really taught me like concept, like look at concept, like you could be a storyboard artist, you could do this, and that's when I was like, okay, someone believes in me, I can probably do this. And then what happened there was I thought I wanted to be a matte artist. Do you know when it was on glass?
Oh yeah, yeah. You're basically doing the backgrounds, right?
I had my heart set on that. You see, because again, computers were still new then, so it was all. And then that started. So I was at college, and that was starting to die out. And I was like, oh no. So then I thought, next one is model making. I'd like to do the props. So I learned to do prop making, and through college, props.
Now, did you find that to be a completely different skill set and art form versus the art?
No, because it was still I still had the brain where I was coming from as a kid. I loved filmmaking, so it was like I understood that when I watched my dad used to show me all the films, right? Aliens, Terminator. But when I watched Aliens, I understood, and my dad would say, "Look, see what he's holding there? That's probably just a hairdryer with a thing," and they just painted it.
So you weren't sitting there scared shitless. You're actually breaking down the films and the scene and the production design.
From a very early age, it's wow.
No wonder you ended up doing what you do. That is amazing.
Yeah, it's probably my dad. He's just going, don't. I want to show you Aliens. Don't tell your mum. But it's such a cool film. But look, don't be scared, because that spaceship, that's like that big. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, that's awesome.
How did they do that, Dad? Oh, they sprayed it and they just put. Oh, look, I'll show you. So it came from that amazement of like, oh, I want to do that, like the magic trick. I want to be a magician and help them do that. So college was like, yeah, model making. I'll maybe I'll get in the films that way, because I can't paint. Because concept artists, I didn't really, not really. I knew they designed stuff, but I just thought I'd never be. That's like an art director thing. I'll never be able to do that.
Interesting.
But in a workshop making props for the new Aliens film, maybe I could do that. So yeah, so I after college, it ends up trying to get into film studios. So then you just. I was ringing up. Again, it's just like I tell students, you've got to just keep ringing up. You get turned up. Oh, there's no films on yet. Oh, who are you? All that sort of stuff. There's sort of schools now you can go to get into film studios. But when I was doing it, it was like turn up.
So would you just get a list and you just start cold calling studios or production designers and
not knowing who they were. Hi, I'm a student. I just got can I be a runner or something? Can I see someone? No, there's nothing. And I was ringing up when there was no films, because sometimes it used to anyway, just probably will soon, but it sometimes just goes dead for like a year or 2 years. It just goes dead sometimes. There's no films. Back when I was starting. So I was just cold calling at the wrong time, and and it just got, I just kept doing it. And then one day, I think my girlfriend went, because I was working at a rubbish job, she got me an interview with this guy just to talk to me. Oh, I'll talk to him. Went to Pinewood. Yeah, great. So I went to Pinewood with I had a rocket pack, like I built. And I walk into this place and I'm hearing the Alien soundtrack.
No kidding.
But the Alien soundtrack, and they're building props, and I see an alien. I'm like, are they working on an Alien film? And I go to this guy's called Bill Pearson. He was like, he was a legendary model maker for miniatures. So he built them. He supervised the build on the Nostromo from the original Alien. So I'm there with him, realizing who he is, and he's going, well, yeah, this is great. This model you've done, this is how we kind of do it out of bits and pieces, and that's a great paintwork you've got on there. Well, we're working on Alien versus Predator. You can come on as a runner if you want.
No kidding.
And then I was just like,
yeah,
yay! Like, oh, got in, like that. So that I was ecstatic because it was Alien versus Predator as well. It's like I didn't even know. Again, before kind of the internet was really big.
Yeah, I was going to ask you when you were cold calling. I mean, the internet was still kind of new even back in those days. That would have been what, early 2000s, right? AVP.
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's early 2000s.
2004.
Okay, yeah. So even back then, it's not like you could have been like, "Hey, my art portfolio's online. Go check it out. You know, go check out my Facebook and my portfolio." You probably even had a hard time, just like you said. You had to bring a prop on the visit to show them. Versus these days, you could do what we're doing now. Like, hey, check out all the shit I made. Here's all my art. Go to this link. You can check it out. So you really had to sell yourself, but I love the story of kind of how, and I'm guessing that's how you got your foot into the door then, was with AVP, just kind of by chance. You weren't going there to meet Bill, or were you?
No, it's just some guy would look at your stuff. I didn't even know it was going to be a job thing. It was just like, I was so lucky.
So did you marry this girlfriend then? Is it?
Oh, yeah. I'm
okay, I was gonna say. Hopefully, you married this girl who got your foot into the door here.
Yeah. She was just like slick. I was like on a job doing vinyl, and she just saw I was a bit depressed, and like she goes, "You should be in films. I'm gonna spend a day calling for you." So she just started calling.
That is badass. What a lady. Yeah. What a lady there.
Yeah, she's brilliant. And but what was cool is I got the job on that. So I'm like, yeah, I got the job. And then Bill, the boss at the time, he's like to Marie, my girlfriend, he was like, they're working on an advert over there and they're doing Bridget Jones. Go and see if you can get a job. And then she sort of got a job too. So then we had to rent a room somewhere. And
that is so cool.
Move out my mum and dad's and see, I've made it. I'm in the film.
Damn.
So I'm a runner, but show them.
See, kids, dreams do come true, but don't expect a Vincent's experience to happen for everyone. Where you show up one day and two of you get jobs in the film industry. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, you make sort of. I always say, like, the harder you work, the more the luck comes to you.
Of course.
So yeah, so you just got to keep banging on with your own lottery ticket. And just
don't forget the preamble where he was spending probably weeks and months cold calling people to try to get an in. He was at a job where he was miserable, and it's really Vincent, the way I hear it, it's just one of those kind of fork in the road life moments. We've all had them, and your trajectory depends on which fork you took. But that is a fantastic story of how you got into the movie business. So AVP was your first foray in. I know, obviously, I want to get to the Star Wars stuff, but what was your next job before we start talking Star Wars after AVP?
So I'm on AVP.
And AVP, did you just do props, or did you do any art for that?
No, it was just like it was just like you're a runner, and okay, and then I was making tea for people, and then showing I could do things, and then Bill was like, yeah, this guy can paint. Like, maybe he could paint this. They're doing the Alien Queen machine thing. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. So then I show them I can do the handcuffs, and they're like, oh, okay, you can do this. And that snowballed them realizing that I was a good model maker, and that he was like, after a while, he was like, hey, you should have been an assistant model maker. Like, we're all seeing that you can do that. So do you mind just keep carrying on as a runner? You can do the models and do it. I'm like, okay. So that spurred me on to be like a model maker. Marie was actually the first person to get on Star Wars, you see, because while I'm doing AVP, she got on Bridget Jones. She met Tytiga, who was, I think I might be blurry here, but she met some people that were going to go on Batman Begins. So, and then I went on Hitchhikers with Bill, the same model lot I was always with, which was cool because we were working on the Hitchhikers Guides to the Galaxy. And next door they were doing Batman Begins, and we'd always hear the Batmobile being revved up. we were next to the workshop where they were building the Batmobile, so we'd go out and go, wow, it's the new Batmobile, or something like that. And then what happened was, I think then I went on to Casino Royale. I think I was a bit blurry, but Marie got a job on the prequel.
Revenge
of the Sith.
Yeah, because
I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my god, you're gonna get on that. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna be. She's gonna help out on the set. She was a prop person, so she's like an assistant to the props and where the props go. And she was actually she had to be in charge of things like all the lightsabers. Like they had a cupboard of the lightsabers. So Samuel Jackson would come and go, hey, I need my lightsaber. She's like, oh, that's the gold one, right? Things like that. And I'm like, oh, you don't even know.
What an awesome resume, Mark, to put on there. I am the keeper of the lightsabers. I love it.
She had to stand in for R2 in
no
scenes.
way.
Like, yeah, so we've got kids now, so I show them, look, that's Mum. Mummy's just off there, and she's behind the Emperor's chair because it was wobbling, so she had to stand there. And
Did she ever talk to you about her time on that set? I mean, was it a good experience, all the green screen and stuff, or she was just happy to be there?
It was just we were all just starry eyed. We were still new, and Rick McCullum was great. He was lovely to us. Like, so I'd go on set, and then that was my first time. She'd go, "Come on, Rick said you could come on and come on." So then I just walked in. And I'm seeing, Ewan McGregor and all on blue screen messing around, and George Lucas is there. And I'm like, do you talk to George Lucas? She's like, yeah. He's always asking like for biscuits, and where's the biscuits? It's like, it's just normal stuff, and it's just so normal, So that's when I met Rick McCullum. He was lovely, and then he said, Marie's doing a great job. What do you do? And I'm like, well, so at this point, my memory's. So I haven't thought about this in a while. So in my last sort of years of college, the prequel books, the Attack of the Clones, are off with Ryan Church and Eric Tiemens.
Yep.
And all that. They came out, so that's when I started to learn that. Oh, hang on, these guys rock! Right, they're doing things digitally. How is this done? Because it's new, right? I can see it's pixels and they're drawing. I don't want to work on a computer. I never want to sit on a computer. I know I'm never doing that. It's airbrushing or matte paint on glass or models. I'm never going to sit on it because I was just scared of computers. It's like, not doing it. So I was like workshop kind of thing. On Revenge of the Sith, he goes, hey, why don't you come to Skull Ranch? Like, have a holiday and come and visit us, and I'll introduce you to Ryan and Eric. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, if you want to be a concert artist, I'll introduce you to you. Oh my God. So then, we flew down when they were wrapping up Revenge of the Sith, flew down to LA, went to Skull Ranch, buzzed up the thing.
It's just amazing.
Hi, it's Marie and
Hey, we're here.
We're staying here. Yes, they're like, oh yeah, okay, come in. And like, and that was great. Skull Ranch, and we stayed there for 3 nights in a next to where Spielberg normally stays in their little apartments.
Yeah. Wow.
Dude, so good. When we walked,
it just seems surreal. I can only imagine because I assume we're close to the same age. I was born in '80. And just thinking,
yeah, me too.
Thinking in my early 20s, getting an invite to Skywalker Ranch based on my abilities, my partner's abilities. It's just, I mean, when you talk about it, it is kind of like a dream at this point in time. It seems like something you'd watch in a movie about a Star Wars fan that wants to work in films. And how things kind of lined out, worked out for you. I mean, obviously, you put in the effort. I'm not saying you're just a lucky son of a gun, but it goes to show you the importance of networking and connections in any industry, right? Because once you two got in, it just kind of snowballed from there with who you were meeting and the projects you were getting access to.
Yeah, it was accidental. It was weird because it was always been accidental.
Just very natural.
yeah, it just like we didn't force our way. We met. So we accidentally worked on Star Wars, chasing it, and then Rick McCollum, the producer, was really friendly and liked Marie, and he wanted to meet me, and he just said, "Come up if you want. Come up and see us." Okay, went there. Met George. He's just nice guy. Met, I'm walking down Thurl Ranch, Ben Burke walks by, and I'm like, oh, that's Ben Burke.
That's the sound guy. He made all the famous sounds.
That's the sound guy. I'm like, hi, mate. And he walks past, and then we go into, because I used to watch them. I'm a Star Wars fan. So episodes, they used to do like these internet.
Oh yeah.
Little webisodes where it showed you the inside the art department. They were doing Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. So I knew already the inside setup of what, and now I'm in the room. So now I'm in the room looking at all the artwork, and they gave me the book, and I'm just going, I can't believe it. It was just surreal. And then, they took me to ILM, and then Ryan Church and Eric were at the door, and because Rick McCollum's the boss, he arranged it, met them. They gave me a couple of tips of how to draw. They looked at my work and said, you just need to learn perspective. You're not very good at perspective. You're not very good at the lighting. You need to
So some good, honest feedback, right?
Yeah, just tell me, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
How can I be like you guys? And those two guys were great. And then it was that but then the sad bit is when you wave goodbye. Because in my head, it was like, hey, work for us. Be a concept artist.
Yeah.
And when you're sort of waving goodbye, thanks guys, and they just and you're sort of going, yeah, well, and then we're going now, and we're going away from this world, and I want to be in that world, and that's when I was like, that's my chance, and that's it. I'm never going to return. That's that.
Yeah, you were expecting them to like hand you the contract that visit, right? Like, hey, you're in, lifetime employee of ILM.
Yep.
Here you go.
Yeah, no, it weren't good enough.
Was it not good enough, or they just didn't have any?
Well, it wasn't the point of the visit. It was just I was just going to say, hey, I love you guys. I want to work in Star Wars one day.
Right.
What do I do? And they said, looked and went. They gave me some great tips, which I always think of to this day. And then said goodbye. And then I went home thinking, but what happened was I just got home. And I worked on and then the films went dead a bit. I went on Casino Royale as a model maker, and I'm just always thinking, I want to be a concept artist. I just worked really hard on my skills as a concept artist now, so I learned Photoshop.
So you did break down and get into the digital art then at that point.
Yeah, I learned that it wasn't scary, and it is actually it was good because I've been a traditional painter, so. When I started to learn that, hey, I can make a mistake. I don't have to worry.
Yeah, you just undo, right? Yeah, undo button.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, I can do anything. Then I was like, this is great. And then it all just went away. So now I was like on the roll. So I was like, right, I'm going to build up a portfolio here. Build up a portfolio. Then didn't really know who to call on films. Like, how do I get into an art department for a film? That's a whole different side. That's more pre-production. That's earlier. So as I was sort of looking for jobs, I got a job on video games. So then I left the film industry and worked as a concept artist at EA Games and stayed there for like 6 years.
What are some of the titles you helped?
We did stuff that never worked on stuff that just never came out. So there was a game called Black that was a shoot 'em up before sort of Call of Duty. I think it was before Call of Duty.
Okay.
It was kind of a big deal. Like it was and we were working on the sequel, and it just never. We worked on it for a year or 2 years next year. It never came out.
I just wonder when you said EA is like, ooh, in that time period, that might have been like the Mass Effect era. I know BioWare made it, but EA published it, so I don't know if you would have had.
No, I was doing the Burnout franchise, but I was a concept artist.
Just for like level design, you would kind of throw or car design.
It was like we're making a new game. It was just like film concept arts. It's like we're making a shoot 'em up. We're in Iraq, and then there's can you just storyboard all this and concept it all? And I was like, yeah. And by that point, I was pretty good, and they hired me and wanted me to stay as a full-time thing, and that was a great moment. But it means I left the film industry, and I just ended up stuck there because it was a good job, it was fun, you know, you got to play video games whenever you want, and I like video games. And I just stayed and stayed and stayed, and I worked. Then I went to Ubisoft for a little bit on Splinter Cell, and then what happened? How did I get back? Oh yeah, there was a sort of a crash in the video game in the UK. There was a sort of a crash. Everyone started working on iPhones because iPhones.
Yeah, they're like, all right, let's screw these AAA titles. Let's go to the mobile app frenzy and try to get rich quick, right?
Yeah, and when you're a concept artist and you want to do these sort of big title AAA games, and they're all starting to do little silly games.
Yeah, like tap and click, Flappy Bird. Yeah.
Yeah, like Flappy Bird. It's like, I don't want to do this. And some of my mates are like millionaires now because they all went off and did their first iPhone game. Like, come on, let's go and do this. No, I don't want to do that. And so then I started looking into films again, and then luckily I got in on Game of Thrones.
Oh, nice. Like for the whole run or just the first season or so?
No. I was season 3, I think it was, only for like 2 months or something, and then they had something changed and I had to go, and I was a bit depressed. But then I rang around, and then I got a Ridley Scott job, which was like boom in my head.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're that, yeah, you're talking earlier. For those of you, if you're joining in now, we're talking with Vincent Jenkins, who's a concept artist. He's worked on some Disney Star Wars films. AVP was his first foray into the movie business. Did some of the James Bond movies, and as you just heard, also worked in some AAA video games. So we got a real all-star here in the creative world. Just talking about how he got there. How he took his natural ability and love for art and kind of flipped it into, at this point in time, Vincent, a pretty amazing career. We've made it up probably to the 2010s, 12s, like right before you probably got back into films full time with, I'm assuming your first Star Wars project would have been Rogue One?
Yeah, so off of, so I got on, I did Exodus with Ridley Scott, and that was brilliant. Then I'm sitting there, like I was saying, on my first movie book I bought, The Art of Batman, Tim Burton one, and there was a concept art in there by Julian Caldo, and there's like the Batwing and stuff, and I used to always look at the Batwing when I was little and go, wow, I want to do that. So I'm sitting on this Ridley Scott film, and I meet this guy, and I'm sitting next to him, Julian, and then he started talking. He goes, "Oh, where you're sitting? That's where Tim Burton sat. You're sitting where Tim Burton sat when we did Batman. Like that's where
look
he
at
sat."
that.
I went, "No, you did Batman." He was like, "Yeah, ages ago I was concept artist." And I went, "What? Like you're the reason?" Like,
yeah, I mean, talk about a full circle moment right there. I mean, Vincent told us earlier that the 1989 Batman: The Art of book was really the first time he realized he could take his drawing skills, love for filmmaking, and do something with it. So yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So
man.
Now I'm sitting next to the guy who physically did that, and then we're friends now. And Julian Caldo, yeah, he's a legend. He's been around for a while. And
your chance meetings in life, Vincent, have been pretty damn spectacular. Honestly, I mean, some of these chance meetings you've had, just, obviously, again, you've put the work in, but the fact that you were there at that studio at that time in that seat to spawn that conversation.
It was odd. It's really odd because, again, like what I said about, I used to watch Aliens a lot. Like my favorite film is probably Aliens. If I think about it, it's probably just Aliens because it's like Star Wars. It's a combination when everything works together as a film. Like the magic all works.
Right.
Everything works. Right. On the Ridley Scott thing, I'm sitting there, and Sigourney Weaver's on this film. Really? Oh, that's cool. And I'm working. I did a long stint on that film. I was on it for it felt like 2 years, but it was a year and a half or something. So, she just walks in. She walks in, and then they introduced me like, "Oh, Vinny did these paintings," and then she was so interested in the art, and she just was talking to me 20 minutes, just chatting about art. I'm just talking to Ripley.
Yeah.
Like Dana from Ghostbusters, you know, Galaxy Quest. I'm
Unbelievable.
just like wow, that's just.
Have
She
you
was great.
kept like any sort of I don't know, photo journal or just a journal with notes for all these little life happenings you've gone through?
This is the first time I've really chatted about on something
Yeah,
like
because
that.
you actually
I mean,
you've got some fantastic stories and just really the path you've taken and the people you've met, and just again by happenstance. It's not like you scheduled to meet Sigourney. You
no,
just happened to be there at the right place, right time, and obviously she appreciated your work, and you got to chat with her like two humans, not a superstar and
it
an
was
artist, just two humans chatting.
No.
It is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Someone in our chat just said you need to play the lotto, the lottery. I don't know if the UK does lotteries like we do, but
Well, I'm on there. I just got into the cryptocurrency.
well,
Sort of
you
thing,
got in
and
at the
I'm like,
wrong moment, man. Hopefully, you didn't buy any
Yeah.
Bitcoin because that thing is eating it hard
Yeah.
right now. But,
I got into Ethereum quite early, so
All right.
it's all right. You know, but
ETH is doing okay. So, I mean, being an artist, are you getting mixed up in the NFT stuff with crypto, or?
I wish I was selling loads and loads, but no. I mean, I got in. I got into it as but no one wants my art. I mean, I haven't really got much personal stuff and haven't really built up a sort of a what do you call it, like a because all my stuff's. I'm always working, so I don't own my stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not like, I mean, what we're looking at here, people. If you're on the live stream, I have Vincent's Instagram page up, and you can see a grid or his gallery grid, and you're seeing most of his professional work for the films he's worked on, the Star Wars movies, and yeah, like you're saying, you, even though those came out of your hands and your brain, you don't own those.
I can't sell them, no.
Yeah.
So it's building up a kind of. I'm kind of doing it now more like building up a bit of my own head, like putting stuff down that I think's cool and designing ships or whatever. But to be honest, I'm so knackered from working. I can't. I don't have time.
Yeah, just can't be bothered with that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm good at doing little lunchtime sketches and paintings because I know they can get done, but.
And I know, like, when people like you say it's a lunchtime sketch, it's still a work of art to most of us. Like, we have someone in the community called Daz Tibbles. I mean, I don't know how this guy isn't working professionally, but he's like, oh, this was just a quick lunch sketch. And it's like my jaw drops, like, a lunch sketch? You call that a lunch sketch? It's like, all right, I see how it goes, but... All right, so I've had you about 40 minutes here. I don't want to push you over an hour, but I do want to get into some of the Star Wars films you've worked on. So let's kind of get into Rogue One. How did you go from the Ridley Scott and then start working with Disney Star Wars?
I was working with someone. You meet art directors and you get friendly with everyone, and then they go, "Hey, man." Oh no, I was on Ridley Scott thing, and then Force Awakens was down, across the road, and it's like there. And I'm like, okay, wow, I would love to work on Star Wars. I mean, that's crazy. So I think I put my CV in, and I found out who the production designer was, and we chatted. He's like, I just don't need anyone. I've gone full. Everyone wants to work on this.
Yeah, probably.
So I carried on working, and I think an art director was going to work on. He said, "Hey, man, look, they're actually doing another Star Wars film. Like, I'm going for an interview with Neil Lamont, who's Neil Lamont is a legend. Like his dad, Peter Lamont, did Aliens, Titanic, Le Bon, True Lies. So this is his son, is Neil Lamont. He's going to be doing a new Star Wars film." And I'm like, "Oh my God, can you give me? Have you got his email? He's got me. Yeah, here you go. Here." So then I managed to get in. I managed to get an interview. They liked my stuff on the email, and my mind was just blowing. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna go and work on Star Wars. I didn't know what it was. I heard it might have been a spin-off thing. So I went to see Neil Lamont, and dude, I'm a Star Wars. I'm original. I'm like an old school Star Wars fan. So I came from them 3 movies.
Right.
I watched the prequels. I'm not it doesn't do what the
You
originals did for
you
me.
tolerate them like most of us of our generation. We tolerate the prequels.
Yeah. If there's good stuff in there,
They used to make me
design-
angry, but I've gotten over that. They're not as
me too.
I think the cartoons have helped me to appreciate them a bit more and some of the new stuff they're
Okay.
doing. But yeah,
That's good.
I understand.
Yeah, so I met Neil Lamont. He gave me the job. We just clicked. He's great, and he said, "Yeah, man, I want you to work on." Well,
Boom.
Yeah. He's just like, "Come on." He's like, "This one's going to be great," because if it's Force Awakens, he's like, "No, this one's going to be great though, because this one's like, the crawl at the beginning of Star Wars." I'm like, "What?" Because I know it. I'm like, "What, the Rebels?"
Yeah,
Spies. And he's like, "Yes, it's the film about them." And I'm just like,
that's it. Wow.
that's like my. So not only is it like a new film, it's actually a tie-in to the original.
Yeah.
So it's like it was better than the Force. Like me personally, I'd rather work on Rogue than Force.
Totally
Awakens.
understandable.
Force Awakens was like an evolution of that design, and they could go off and do different things. Whereas this one was like, how do we make a 70s film? That was Neil Lamont's thing. We need to pretend that we're making this like a couple of weeks after A New Hope. Like
So that was kind of the mantra in the art studio for Rogue One was, we got to make this 70s style.
Yeah, we're going to use the same materials. We're going to look at what stuff they used to use, plastics. Why does it feel like? And that was the genius of Neil Lamont, right? And his dad knew, comes from that era as well. And his dad did Aliens. So, and then we had like Gareth Edwards, the director, and he was a fan of Aliens, and he even looked at, he referenced what it felt like, in Aliens when the dropship lands, so it was all tying together, and that's when I'm sitting there and I meet all these great artists that are like me that have come together, and I'm friends with them now to this day, and you just, this band of people all just meet up, these concept artists, and model makers, and we all just go, wow, we're like. It's a bit like, in Close Encounters when them guys, all them different people all meet at that mountain because they've all had the message.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, if you build it, they will
like,
come.
Look at each other going, we know why we got, this is it. Like, so then you're told to, then you're given a script, and then it's just like, brilliant. You go, wow, this is great. It's about the dad built a thing, and I loved it because it was about the floor that was, the Death Star floor that was actually a design, and Dad put it there because he was forced to build this thing.
Yeah,
and I'm like, yeah.
Most fans to this day, our generation and younger and older, do point to Rogue One as their favorite Disney production so far, and I think it's because of a lot of things you hit on, and as you told us, the design mantra from the get-go was, we're going to honor what they were doing back in the 70s. We're going to keep those techniques, the same style. And it did kind of show in the film. I do want to ask you, because, on the outside, we hear all these stories about Rogue One and how, Gareth wasn't getting the job done. They had to bring Tony Gilroy in. Did you experience that, or was that all kind of blown up by the outside media and all that?
We were still kind of kept at a distance because we were busy working, and when you're in the art department, you're just you're just so busy working on the redesigns, and like, we have to build these sets, and now Gareth wants this, or someone wants that, and can you quickly make up this? And you're so busy that you sort of hear these little things. I can't really say what really happened. Yeah, it was just happening,
someone in pre-production, when you guys turn it over to principal, are you effectively done, or does the director or the production designer, the art designer, do they sometimes come back to you all to concept something that may be needed after filming starts? I've always wondered, like, is pre-production truly done when they move into principal, or do you guys sometimes get called upon to keep producing some concepts after filming starts?
Oh yeah, so we're producing stuff as they're filming downstairs.
Got ya.
So they're filming downstairs, and like, oh, we're going to do a new scene where there's a, so, and then we're like, oh my god, and then Neil Lamont needs to, build that, so we have to help him design everything, or how can we, and then it gets tight, and then you have to sometimes redesign something we already have and make that look like something else, and then it's just like, what was cool, like one of the last things was the Vader room the Vader fight at the end of Rogue One. So we are sitting in that. So that scene, I'm sitting with the art department is just the next floor up, because that was the stage downstairs.
Got it.
So we're like, hey, it's downstairs today. They're shooting. Should we go down? Should we go down? Like, we've got to go down. We've got so much to do. We've got to go down and see Vader. Come on, Vader's down there kicking ass. Okay. So we went down there on a good day where it was the day where.
Oh man! So you got to see that scene filmed then?
We were there. Where he turns on his lightsaber in the dark, and we were there, and we were actually standing to the right of him, so we're down that corridor to his right, and then in between takes, I'm like, sod this, I'm going up to Darth Vader. So I went up to Darth Vader and I shook his hand. Darth Vader was like,
was it just some random stunt guy in the Vader suit, like or was it an actor?
No, he was like a professional stunt guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can't even imagine what that was. So you got to see that whole thing filmed from start to finish, or you just watched a few? Did they do it in one take? How many takes did it take? Do you remember?
I think they did it in a day, but I'm not sure. One of my mates, John McCoy, who's a concept artist, his job was, he was more of the storyboarding, the whole thing with Gareth, him and Matt Alsop. And his job, I think John was like frantically getting them storyboards.
Oh, got you. Right.
Yeah, so he was really made up because he got to get the.
See, there's just another awesome thing Vincent has gotten to do in life due to his artistic talents. Are you listening, young boys and girls? Because they can take you far.
I got to be a Stormtrooper.
Well, yeah, I was just going to bring that up because I have your image up, and you got to be what many fans now call probably the coolest looking type of Stormtrooper. And Vincent got to play a short trooper, and I've gotten an image up on the live stream. If you're following along or watching the replay, it looks like you're there with two of your mates, Chris Vincent, and
Carl Wetton was there as a regular Stormtrooper. So I think Carl actually got me the gig because it was one. I think it was after. I can't remember. It was right near the end, and it was a set I designed. So we had to. It's a tube station in London. Really, that whole set. Yeah. And my job was to make it look like an Empire style base, right? And then I got to be. He said, "Oh, we need another extra."
Damn it! Look at this.
And I'm like, "Yay, great! It's an all-night shoot. It's going to be really tough."
Yeah, who gives a shit, right? There. I mean,
Yeah, no, I didn't care. So I went down there on I can't remember. Went down there in the evening and we shot it all night. It was basically me in a Stormtrooper outfit and loads of others running up and down all night, marching. Yeah, it was great.
Did you make the cut then? I mean, do you know? Can you?
I'm in there. Yeah, I'm in there. I had a really good scene where I was right past the camera.
There you go.
And I was really like.
Were you jockeying with your friends? Like, no, I'm going first. Get out of the way. I know where the camera placements are at. Watch out. I got to get in here. I'm not getting cut.
I think, there was a lot of like trying to be near the camera or listening out where they needed people, but we were so knackered. Like a lot of people just couldn't do it anymore as well. Like we were just like,
Did you get to keep any souvenirs?
No, you can't. It's just so. I don't think. No, nothing really. I think it was such a magical thing. You just didn't.
Yeah, the memories are probably all you really need.
Yeah, the biggest memory, the biggest magical thing is having that Stormtrooper helmet on and seeing through it. The set that I had designed for that place, and I'm Stormtrooper in it, and then they go action, and I'm walking as a Stormtrooper. I'm like, I don't believe this is even happening. That's so
that's pretty awesome. I mean, as an artist or concept artist, that's probably the most you could ask for in working on a Star Wars film is to actually get into the movie. let alone your designs are in the movie. You know that, but now you yourself are in the movie. It's too bad it wasn't a named role to get yourself some royalties every time they play the movie on TV. You get a nice little check in the mail. But I know extras don't get that bonus. Do you get royalties then? Because you are. I mean, I'd assume you're in the credits, right? So, or do artists not?
Well, as concept art, you get a credit at the end as a concept artist. You don't get any. No, you're paid for just the work.
Right, so it is just typically the stunt performers and the actors. They're the only ones that get that the royalty type of deal.
Yeah, actors and stuff. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Those scumbags. It's people like you that make them look good, right? You should get it too. So, no, that is great. So from Rogue One, then I'm assuming you made enough contacts within the Star Wars art universe. Did that lead directly into Solo? Did you roll right off of Rogue One into Solo?
Yeah. So yeah. Again, another person I missed out is like when you work on Rogue One, and I discovered, when I first worked with Neil Lamont, was like, yeah, we've got Doug Chain here too, and I'm like, really? Like he was like co-production designer, so I was working for Doug Chang, and that was like ridiculous.
Yeah, isn't he? I mean, he's basically the top dog in the art these days at Lucasfilm. Really he was like making sure it's all kosher. Yeah.
Like he's helping Neil.
Because I'm sure, like you remember watching him on the behind the scenes on the Phantom Menace. Because I think that's when I don't know if he first started, but he was just like an art supervisor or something like that.
He was like a concept artist. Like George Lucas only had him and someone else, I think. But he was someone that I took note of and tried to copy his drawings and his style and how did he do it.
Yeah, because he's the man now in terms of art.
Yeah, he's the man, and he's really nice. And once you're in and you're sort of in the Star Wars family, so then they're like, okay, we're doing this next, and then Neil Lamont got hired to do Solo, so he needed to do that. And that was great. Another one, except in the sort of 70s era, and that was great.
I'm pulling up some of your early Solo concepts, and they are absolutely fantastic. I mean, even though you use digital now, what would you say your style is? Is it still rooted in airbrush, or do you have an actual name for the style of art you use for these concept art pieces?
Well, how do you? Oh, so yeah, it's I'm always sort of changing. I push and pull myself. It's a weird one because I was an airbrush artist, so I'm sort of painting in a airbrush way, and then I go into watercolor way, and then I'm all over the place. I don't even recognize my style. It's a hard one to answer because I'm never happy.
So I've got your concept, I'm assuming it was yours, of Lando's Falcon. Did they ultimately use that for the escape pod and all that deal? I mean...
Yeah, that was my first... When I went on to Solo, I was like, right, Neil, what shall I do? What's my first job? And he went, well, they want to see the Falcon in this one. I'm like, well, how cool. He's going, and they're not really sure. They know they want it to look different. So they're like painting it blue, and they put another cockpit on the other side and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, what? And he's going, yeah, do you want to have a stab at that? It's meant to be sort of in its prime, like Lando's got it, and they want it to look like a triangle. They want to put something on the front, like maybe it's coverings or maybe it's this. We don't know. Okay, so yeah, and I'm very I respect the whole history of Star Wars massively, like Ralph McQuarrie, and I respect massively. I don't want the Falcon to look silly, or I don't want to, I'm the last person. I wouldn't even want to touch it, obviously. But okay, if I can help, I worked on that. So
I mean, can you, Vincent? Can you take credit then for the escape pod of Lando's Falcon, or did a team kind of come up with that and you just realized it with the art?
No, it's a massive team effort because the writers knew they wanted something. They didn't know what it, they knew they thought it was like a triangle. Maybe there's a pod on the front, and I think there was a toy at one point. There was a pod on the front. So yeah, we were doing lots of different things. I just saw it that it has to be, if it's going to be something there, it's going to be an escape pod. So I was always putting an escape pod in. And I was looking at Ralph McQuarrie, his early stuff when it was cleaner. And the thing that I pitched that I wish they did and they didn't, that I looked at the Falcon and I went, I know, I'll take off all the gubbins off it, and that can be Han Solo's special modifications I did myself. That line. Okay.
Nice.
Well, what happens when I get the Falcon and I take all the pipework off the surface? And once I started doing that and covering up the missing panels, and then spray it all white, it looked like a Falcon in its prime, like just off the showroom. And that's when like people walk past my monitor and go, "Whoa, that looks pretty neat. That looks pretty neat." And I took the satellite dish off, and then we had these great model makers, Neil Ellis and Alex Hutchins, and they are the model makers to get, because they know everything from Star Wars. And Neil Ellis was great at making. He just knew everything about the Falcon. So my concept would then go to him, or I think maybe we're working at the same time, and you just start to work together and build these different Falcons, and the directors would come in, and then they start to get excited because actually this looks. And actually Dennis Murren came in, and he looked at it, and he even went, "Yeah, that looks cool. If you're going to push it." So it was a great thing because we didn't go too
So
far.
in this show, at least, we'll say we're talking to the creator of Lando's version of the Millennium Falcon. At least on the Star Wars Time
One of
show,
them.
we're going to say that.
One of them.
That is just too damn cool. Well, Vincent, we've hit an hour. Could you give me maybe 5 more minutes just to talk about what you currently are doing in Star Wars? Because I know that this is, I mean, obviously the fans here are really loving your stories. They're probably just as jealous as I am. But again, it's not like Vincent got all this just by bumbling through life. I mean, a lot of hard work was put in. He's just, someone that kind of hit a trajectory that led and snowballed from one opportunity to the next. And here we are. So the latest Star Wars project that you can at least talk about, Vincent, I think I could say this because, Disney has said it themselves, but at one point in time, Vincent was also working on the Kenobi movie before they, and I think this was all a knee-jerk reaction to TLJ and then Solo's box office. And this again, my opinion, nothing Vincent said. The brass, the money keepers at Disney are like, hold on, let's maybe reevaluate our plans here. But there was a Kenobi movie, and Vincent you were doing some pre-production for that.
Yeah, really excited. Yeah, that's a hard one because, we were on it for 5 months.
Yeah, so it was a real thing. I know some people, they never know what to believe on the internet, and I believe Ewan himself said, yeah, we were going to do a movie, so I've been, for 5 or 6 years deflecting questions of, will you ever play Kenobi again? Because he obviously couldn't talk about it. Did you, I mean, I know things change and you might have been on another job, but did you have an opportunity to do anything for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, or were you already taken up on Andor?
I can't remember. I think we were on the Kenobi thing, and it went down, or we were taking a break or something. So I went off and did something else. I can't remember what I did. It's a bit of a blur. I went on and worked on The Kingsman with Matthew Vaughn. I think that's where I went. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm with now. So I work directly with Matthew Vaughn now and do that's where I am. So I did The King's Man. It's not out yet. Still not out.
Well, that was one of the movies that kind of got caught up in the whole COVID lockdown shuffle of 2020.
Yeah. It's just on a shelf. We're dying to get it out. It seems so long ago when I done it. But then after that one, I went on Cassian. Yeah. Again, it was just like, it was some of the, I think, what's the name of the production designer? Luke Hull, the production designer on that one. So I did a little bit on that, but again, yeah, that should be good. That looks like Rogue.
Yeah, that's in that Rogue One era. I mean, it's same character, maybe a few years earlier. But you actually, I mean, I haven't pulled up on our live stream here for those watching. Two of your pieces of Andor concept art made it into the sizzle reel they showed, I believe, last December during that big Disney stage reveal where they announced 10 other projects. It was a pretty awesome day for Star Wars fans. But you actually got two shots in there. It's the one where you see Cassian. It looks like he's in an A-wing cockpit. I don't know. You're the creator. Was that an A-wing cockpit, or you can't tell?
No,
okay. And then another one where he's kind of sitting behind a wall, getting ready to ambush some troopers.
Cool one,
Now, with something like this, do you anticipate them shooting scenes like this, or did they just give you ideas and they're like, hey, Vincent, this is what?
No, that was an actual, like, we want him by a wall, and can you do this? And Luke was really cool. He knew what he wanted, and he could sketch, and he sort of, can you do something like this? And it was a nice one, because when you've got a good leader like a production designer, and they kind of know what they want, and then you can communicate like an artist, and you just go, okay, that'll, and then you trust you, and then you trust him,
right? And
it's
great. And you're currently done with that project. You've.
Oh yeah, I was only on it for a little while. I did a bunch of things for them, and then I left. I think Matthew Vaughn sort of wanted me to come. He offered me so I'm like visual development supervisor for Marv. So it's like all of Matthew Vaughn's projects. So
that's pretty slick. That's some awesome stability. Moving your way up in the concept art food chain.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. He's great, and we
and it seems to happen that way, because I got a buddy in the stunt side of the business, and his opportunities also have seemed to come from getting on a project, meeting people, sticking with those people, and kind of moving on to other stuff, to where at one point, like you're saying now, you potentially could be working on anything Matthew Wood does until he decides to quit, right? I mean, it seems that the certain directors, coordinators, when they find people they like to work with, they tend to carry them along their own journey. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's like a little circus. And if everyone's doing great.
Yeah, I call the stunt side that they're like stunt mafia, because it's like one stunt guy gets on a project, he'll bring in 5 others, give him some work, that type of deal. And it sounds like it's the same in some of the other non-superstar aspects of making a movie. So tell us all the secrets. When is Andor going to take place? Are we going to see K2SO? Come on, they don't care. You're not working there right now.
I'd tell you the biggest thing about being a Star Wars fan as well, and doing things, is like something like the Obi-Wan thing, right? There was only a few of us on that, and we read the scripts, and I can never tell anyone.
Oh boy! So you may. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, maybe they just blew the whole thing up for Disney Plus, and Deborah had a different take. But I would think that they may use some of those tidbits. Maybe we'll have to bring you back on the show once Kenobi comes out and ask you if any of the moments from the planned film made it into the show. That could be a good follow-up interview to just kind of to check on that, to see if they.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see what they do, if it is actually what we
in terms of Andor, did they give you any inclination as to when it may hit Disney Plus? I mean, a lot of us are guessing 2022. They're doing.
I haven't got a clue. Yeah. I don't know. I don't. I don't even ask dates and things like that. It's like I'm just No, we don't. I'm hoping it's, I'm seeing, I think there's pictures online of them doing,
Oh, they're all over. It seems over in the UK especially, it's impossible to keep any Star Wars location secret or protected, because, I mean, I'm telling you what, there's just been an insane amount of set leaks coming out. I think it was like the Cleverly set they shot there for like a week on a public bridge. So I mean, there's people all every day just sitting there filming scenes being shot. Diego showed up there. They caught him. They caught a guy in a robot suit that looked like he could potentially be a K2SO type of droid. So, but yeah, they're definitely in principle. So I was wondering. I'm assuming 2022. Didn't know if you had any secret information, but.
It must be 2022.
Yeah, because I think this year all we have really for Star Wars coming out, at least that they've said, is that Book of Boba. I don't know if you're into any of the new live action series like the Mandalorian or stuff Filoni's been working on, but it's been pretty damn good. So
yeah, I hear people are happy.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to that. But I don't know, man. This was awesome. I appreciate you taking this hour 10 with me. I know we went a little over, but you just had so many damn good stories. I mean, those watching the live stream kind of echoed my sentiments. You know, just like, wow, this guy definitely should play the Mega Millions the next time he's over in the States. But it just, those that are listening, I love stories like Vincent's because, you know, regular guy that had a talent and artistic skill. He realized it at a young age, massaged it, and, you know, just kind of carried it on through. And through meeting people and networking, he's been able to live out a dream of working in the film industry, both as, you know, props early on and now using, as we like to call it, his real-ass paint skills. So I think your story is phenomenal, and it's inspirational. Hopefully, like I said, some of you younger people listening to this, you know, don't give up. The cold calling, like all that stuff. We may sit there and listen and be like, oh, he's such a luck. He's just lucky. Like luck schmuck, right? I mean, luck comes to those who work for it. All right. I mean, I mean, we could say the stars were aligned for Vincent at certain points in time, but he got himself there, and that's the key point. He went to school, he worked, he put his 10,000 hours into his art forms. As we learned, it's not just real ass paint; he can also make props. So it's been a pleasure, Vincent. Sorry there, everyone. Make sure to go check him out on Instagram at Vincent Jenkins Jr. All right, we have it up here on the live stream. You should also just be able to search for him on Instagram. He also has a web link out there to showcase, I think, some of your personal art on that Foundation app. So go check him out. Give him a follow. Lots of wonderful looking, real deal Star Wars concept art out there. I know we have a lot of art fans here, so good follow and a good guy. It was great talking with you, Vincent. Thank you again.
Yeah, it's been fun, man. Really fun.
We appreciate your time. I'll make sure to have Spencer send a recording over just in case you want to check it out and see how things played out. But loved your stories, man. I am a little jealous, but hey, it is what it is. Like I said, I still don't know what I want to do, and I'm about to be 41 years old. It pays to know what you want to do when you're young. You can end up like Vincent, working on some fantastic sci-fi franchises, as well as, you know, Bond, the Kingsman, getting the spy stuff in there. So, bravo, good sir. Thank you. I'll turn you loose. I know you're over there in the UK, so it's probably getting a little late. But thanks again, man.
Thank you very much.
All right. Fun. We'll see ya.
See ya.
All right, my friends. How about that? That was pretty special. Let me, I got to go ahead and get my buddy in here now, Mr. Nick. Don't worry. We're not done yet. We are not done yet. I'm glad those of you that are watching enjoyed the interview. Nick missed a good one here. Let's pull him into the cast real quick. Hopefully real quick. Yeah, that was fun. Good one. Good get there, Spencer. I enjoyed that. Vincent was easy to talk to. As those of you are chiming in here in the chat, awesome stories. I mean, come on. Just think about that dude's trajectory. In college, just shows up by chance on a set, and the set is AVP, and really from there, he's off to the races. Getting to check out the Revenge of the Sith set, getting to hang out at Skywalker Ranch while he's still a young guy, and then all those years later coming back and working on Rogue One, Solo, Andor. He was on the Kenobi movie before it got canned. So awesome stuff there from Vincent. All right, while we wait for Nicky Buddy to call in, Go ahead and get my Bad Batch stuff queued up here. There we go. It was a good episode. It was, I mean, honestly, this episode, episode 6, which Nick and I are going to talk about once he joins, I thought this was going to be one for the filler crowd where they're going to get overly angry. But to my surprise, looking at some of the comments on Instagram, a lot of people love this episode. So I'm still confused as to what constitutes filler versus just good world building in the Star Wars fandom. But hey, the Star Wars fandom is always going to confuse me. I guess before we get into it, I could talk about some real life stuff real quick. I've made my return to the movie theaters. Did that last week. I checked out A Quiet Place Part 2, which is absolutely fan-fucking-tastic. Yes, I had to use the F word in there because it's that damn good. Krasinski's got one hell of a franchise on his hands, and I believe they're going to do a part 3, and I think they're even going to do a spinoff now, but absolutely loved it. It was nice being back in the theater, still a little sketchy. You know, this whole, if you're vaccinated, don't wear masks. If you're not, wear masks. I mean, who the hell knows who's what? So I still kept mine on the whole time. There's others in there without it. But it was nice to kind of get out for the first time in a year and in many months and check out a movie on the big screen. And I'm not dead yet, so that's a good thing. Video game playing. Those of you, if you're in my Discord, I think I was talking about it, but someone actually sent me Biomutant to review, which is a new open world action RPG for consoles and PC. And while it's not perfect, it doesn't quite have the excellence of, say, a Ghost of Tsushima. It was still a pretty good game. So I got a video review up on my Entertainment Buddha YouTube channel. You can go check that out. And last but not least, as I get Nick in here, I've been playing Mass Effect Legendary. Fucking A, love it. I've played those games so many times, it just does not matter. The level of polish that they've put into this remaster, in my opinion, makes it well worth it. So, what's Devin saying here? Yes, props. I would watch Quiet Place in theaters if you're comfortable. 100%. Yes, Super Scoundrel, there is never filler for Star Wars time. You're correct. All right, let me call Nicky Buddy in here, and let's get the party started. All right. Boom, boom, boo, 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 boop. I got to make this the Skype sounds just so we don't have a lot of dead air. There he is. And look at it. He shows right up on the live stream, unlike our guests where it never fucking works. And I have to rebuild the whole damn platform every time someone calls in, but not for Nick. He dials in and he's connected. There. Let me unmute you, pal. How's it going?
Good. The technology knows that I am the co-host of the show, so it just shows up.
I can't, dude. I don't know what to tell you, man. But I brought Vincent in today. Same fucking shit as when we interviewed SW Props. I had to rebuild the whole damn screen for him. Luckily, he was a good guy. I'll tell you what, man. I know you're dealing with some life nonsense, which we'll talk about. You missed a good one there. That was awesome. I know, I don't really ever watch our show in full, but I recommend you check that out. Not so much for what I did, but just to listen to Vincent's stories and how he went from, just casually getting a job as a runner on the set of AVP to showing up at Skywalker Ranch just to sleep over to ultimately working on Rogue, Solo, Andor. And he revealed he was actually on the Kenobi movie for 6 months before it got canned.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have loved to have been there, but
let him have it, Nick. So those of you that are longtime fans, my poor friend Nick has had a run of just some horrible luck. It started with jobs and bad timing with trying to get new jobs, and then it's progressed into his new home that he bought with his lady love, which you haven't even been in the new house for a year yet, right?
Just over a year.
Okay.
So we're 13 and a half months in.
So anyways, the new house, first thing it did, it robbed him of his Darth Revan lightsaber because of an address mishap.
Yes.
He's had shit fall out of the ceiling from the bathroom.
Yep.
All sorts of stuff that he's already had to have warranty claims on. And just this week, Nick, what's the latest thing, the latest saga of the new home? New home, people. New home is the key word
brand
here.
New. Yeah. For those who have not been in the tales of my home, it's a brand new house, new build. So last week, Taylor and we went on a little vacation to see my family in New Orleans. And while we were away, in Austin, it was like torrential downpour. I mean, days and days and days of rain. So we came back.
I'm sorry to laugh, but hopefully it just lightens the mood a bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do at this point. So we come home and we look in our bedroom, and right in the corner of the room, we can see a nice wet spot on our ceiling and wall. So we're like, fucking great. We have a roof leak. So that was the first thing. Luckily, in that instance, we were able to get somebody out and get somebody to repair it relatively fast, only a 3-day turnaround. But today was a real kick in the balls. So for the last 2 months or so, we've been working with our warranty person to get our downstairs floors replaced. They just weren't installed properly. It's always popping and cracking and, bending in when you step on it. So there's clearly a problem that needs to be fixed. Today was supposed to be the day that this repair was going to happen. So in preparation for that, Taylor and I cleared out the entire downstairs of our home.
Right, because they essentially have to relay your entire floor, right?
Yeah, they have to remove all of the floor as it is, re-level it with like a cement leveling, and then they have to go back in and reapply, like put floor back on it. So Taylor and I spent the back half of yesterday and some part of the morning literally like moving our kitchen table out, moving all of our chairs out, moving the bookshelves out, moving all of the things that are in our downstairs. We moved into our garage by ourselves. The only thing that we left in there was our sofa, because we were told that the sofa could be moved and they could work around it. So no big deal. We could leave that in there. So luckily we didn't have to move that. But every other thing we moved out into our garage. We had plumbers come over. They disconnected our dishwasher. They disconnected our stove and oven. They disconnected. They removed the toilet and the sink from our downstairs bathroom because they need to get in everywhere downstairs to do the replacement. So we, even up until this morning, we
haven't even hit the good part yet.
We haven't even got there yet. So I'm stressed. I'm like, all right, well, we're not going to be able to go downstairs for like a day and a half because they're going to be working and blah, blah, blah. So the workers get here this morning, and it's 2 young kids, and they walk in and they say, hey, all right, hey
boss,
so
we're here.
Yeah. Hey, where are we supposed to do the work? I'm like, the whole floor, all of it, all of the floor needs to be replaced. And immediately one of the guys was like, I need to call my boss. I was like, uh-oh. And in that moment, I knew. I was like, we're fucked. I was like, we're fucked. So while the one kid's on the phone, the other kid's telling me like, oh, well, we only came with 5 boxes worth of floor tiles.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's probably not enough, huh? And he's like, no. And then, so I tell him what his boss told me. I was like, well, your boss said that you guys would just be able to take the floors up and then you'll be able to use the same planks to put back down. And the kid looks at me, he's like, with any other floor type other than the one that you have, we could probably do that, but the floor type that you have is too brittle. It like when you pull it up, it tends to break. And I was like, you have to be. I was like, all right, well, get your boss on the phone, see if you can get any more materials. But in my head, I know that he's not going to be able to get more materials because this material, it took them 2 months to get the 5 boxes in that they got. And I was like, there's not a fucking shot in the world that we're going to get this. But he's on his phone with his boss. So then I called my warranty guy and I'm like, hey, Greg, what's going on? the guys are here. They're saying that they don't have enough materials to do the whole floor. And then he's like, what? I told them to order enough to do the whole house. So then we get their boss in, we get the warranty guy in, and then it's just like, it is nothing but an apology.
It's a big
festival.
circle jerk at that point. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because there's nothing they can do. You know, like Greg's telling
Nick's just probably sitting there like he's ready to kill somebody. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, dude. And actually, you probably handle it like a normal person, right?
Yeah. Like at this point, I've been through so many things, so many warranty claims with this house that just didn't, you know, like stuff went wrong. Things didn't work. It's like as soon as the kid walked in, I'm like, this isn't getting done. So I just like, I settled into the disappointment. And I was just like, you know, I
would be drunk by now if I were you. I probably would have just started drinking at that point. I would not have handled it the way you have. I would have headbutt the motherfucker. The floor guy,
they just kept going. They kept talking back and forth. I was happy to see that our warranty guy was like, hey, look, you guys need to call everywhere you can to see if you can get more floor. He was like, if there's a house that's being built right now in this section that's using this floor, he's like, take it from that house and use it here. But alas, nothing could be done. There could no floor to be found.
Oh, dude.
And that means that the only bright spot was that they did help me move the stuff back into the house, our garage. But
you got like a free 2 men in a truck rental for a little bit.
Yeah. So, but we still have we have stuff upstairs. We packed away.
Oh my God.
A lot of. So, first off, we have no timeline on when the floor is going to be in. So we don't even have a clue when it's going to happen. And then second, they're not going to be able to get the plumbers back out to reinstall all of our appliances until sometime tomorrow. That's all I've been told is sometime tomorrow. They don't even have time yet.
Well, so you better get used to shitting outside, pal.
Yeah. So that was my morning. And then I rolled right out of that into a meeting. And I was hoping that I was going to be able to watch the most recent episode of Bad Batch before we started, but this whole saga took around 2 hours.
I'm sorry.
And then I had my meeting on
I'm
top
laughing so much over here.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I would have loved to have been there with Vincent because I was very excited to see, to listen to his stories, being a concept artist and stuff like that. But I will be listening as the rest of our audience does on our podcast platforms.
Yeah, make sure because it was. I don't know how well I did. He was very easy. I basically just tee up and he would go on little story runs.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, he's someone, he's my age, so 40, 41. And at this point, through his years and the connections he's made, he's essentially become a part of Matthew Wood's team. So whatever movies Matthew Wood is working on, he pretty much brings Vincent along with him. So
yeah, that's perfect, man. I mean, like I said, I'm excited to hear it. I did get to watch the most recent episode of The Bad Batch, so when we roll into our recap and review, I'll be caught up. But that was my morning. I will say I'm going to call this out too right before we get started. This shirt right here, this is the Super Scoundrel. All right.
Yeah. I even think Scoundrel took the time to tune in today.
There we go.
Because I know you weren't on last week to follow up on those who guessed the secret word. Because remember when we did the show, I was on break. I provided a word of the show, kind of like Pee Wee Herman used to do. And the first one to get it was Klondike, and then Johnny Osage got it. And Spencer, I missed it, but I was like, dude, your reference was too deep. He just sent me a picture of the Masasi Temple. And I'm like, come on, Spencer, I'm not that fucking smart. You just had to say Yavin 4. But I know Devin is here today, so there you go. So, that comes from the Super Scoundrel Superstore.
Yes, the Store Frontier. That's his store. It's a very comfortable shirt. I'll say it fits well. Like a lot of shirt, like larges, I wear large. Like they range. Like some of them are like fucking dresses on me, and they're just like super bro, big. But
that's why I told you. I mean, you're taller than me, but you're still what I'd say a short gentleman.
Yeah.
Just go smaller medium for life.
I can't.
Just do it. Let the gut hang out. Who gives a shit?
If I could maybe do mediums, but smalls can't happen. Like
small, you probably would have a little bit of belly popping out of small because you do have a little more height. So
yeah, it fits well in the arms and the chest, which is what I'm most concerned about. And
You've seen like those new
design.
they call them. I don't know if they call them like dad shirts or whatever, but they basically make them real tight around the chest and arms, so you look strong, but they leave the gut loose, so you can still kind of have that beer barrel down there if you want to.
Yeah, I know. I've been getting advertisements for those shirts all over the place. But
no, I'm small the way. I don't give a shit. The only I've learned I need to stop buying small long sleeves, because that just gets really weird looking when you have skin tight, like, you know, long sleeves on your arms, and I can't really, you know, I look like Farley, fat guy in a little coat type of deal. Oh, buddy. All right. I'm having a good time today. I'm having a fun show. It's been a while, man. It's been a month since you and I are doing what we're doing right now.
I know, right?
It started to feel like the show was going away or something. It didn't feel right. Like life was kind of off balance a bit. But hey, we're back.
Yeah.
Nick's finally here after dealing with that saga and catching up on the Bad Batch. So let's get right into that episode, Nick. The Bad Batch S1E6 breakdown by the SWTS bros. Spoiler warning for any of you dorks that haven't watched it yet. And speaking of that, like, I don't know who this person was. I don't know if they listened to the show. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I posted my Friday morning, hey, the Easter egg video is ready on Instagram. He's like, I wish these Star Wars fan pages wouldn't be so quick to post stuff about a new episode. It's like, where's the fucking spoiler, pal? Like,
yeah.
I mean, maybe the graphic, which has a bunch of shitty writing on it, because I don't know how to do visual marketing design or anything nice. You couldn't even really see. I mean, maybe you can be like, well, there's a Rancor in the picture. Maybe that was a spoiler. But outside of that, like, what are we talking about? Like, are we that spoiler sensitive now where if you even get a mention of the episode's name, you're breaking a rule?
Also, it's like, you don't have to watch it. Like, we're just saying, like, hey, for those of you out there who have seen it and who want to watch it, it is available now.
And that's
but
my
if you
point.
Don't want to
like,
watch
if you're
don't fucking watch it until you watch the episode.
Everyone knows at this point in time on social media, you're taking your life in your hands if you care about pop culture spoilers.
Yeah.
I probably will not be able to watch Loki until tomorrow night. I'm still going to go on social media, and if I come across something that's going to fuck it up, guess what? I'm a big boy. It's my fault. I have to still choose to read the damn post. That's the other thing. It's like, all right, if you see something that says Bad Batch, keep scrolling. Don't read the fucking text. Anyways, let's get into decommission, Nick. This is the way we do it. We kind of give our thoughts on it as a whole, like a mini review, and then we'll break down the important shit, the eggs, references, and key moments. And as I was saying before you came online, my friend, when I was watching this episode, and you know my stance on calling Star Wars content filler content, I don't believe in it. I think it's stupid. It's a cheap way to just, you know, just like, my brains don't function. I just need pew-pews and guns and all that stuff. And and please, people, I'm not making fun of anyone. That's just how I look at it. But I really was. I was watching this episode going, the filler haters out there are probably going to have a field day with this one, because not only does it seem like filler to me, or more of what they're calling filler, but guess who's back? The fucking Martez sisters, who a lot of the toxic fans said were the worst thing to happen in the final season of the Clone Wars. But what were little Matt and Nikki telling you about those episodes? Chill the fuck out. Chill the fuck out. Dave had a plan for those. It was initially to allow Ahsoka to learn that, hey, I'm no longer a Jedi, but I still have a strong pull to wanting to help people and do righteousness in the galaxy. So those sisters helped her realize that, and then move on to work with Bo-Katan. And now we have found out that she also had an effect on the sisters. They went from essentially hooligans working with crime syndicates to now seemingly working for the early seeds of the rebellion. So that's why you're never going to hear me bitch about certain episodes that might be slower or you might consider filler, because look what has happened. The world building in Clone Wars not only paid off for Ahsoka, but it is now paying off in Bad Batch for the Martez sisters. Therefore, the entire universe has grown due to it. So I think that what a lot of people need to realize is that they're setting up the Bad Batch to be another
multi-season.
It seems like it.
Clone Wars style.
Seems like it, especially the 16 episode run. I mean, I don't think we've seen anything like, it's coming back, but it does seem like this is not going to be a one-off. It's a slow burn, and I am A-okay with that.
Yeah. So get used to, I mean, like a lot of people will, retroactively look back at the Clone Wars and you'll remember all the big hits. You'll remember all the big arcs, but you won't remember the episodes where the 3 droids were out in the middle of a desert with a little fucking thing, or all of the other episodes that seemed at the time like, hey man, this is, not really important to the overall arc, but you know what? They're telling a story. So there's going to be episodes like that in Bad Batch where you're telling a story, you're world building, but you're not necessarily, it's right in the middle of the arc.
It's the little brushstrokes that flesh out the entire universe. So when it does end, you have that mega payoff. It's like I was saying last week. What if Favreau decided to drop Luke in episode 2, right? Like, no filler, get right to the fucking the surprise moment. It would not. We still would have all been crying, right? We've been like, oh my God, Luke and R2. But it would not have had the same impact on the Mandalorian story. The emotions would have been the same between him and Grogu. Trust these people. I mean, all of you have anointed Dave Filoni the new god of Star Wars, so I don't question. I just kind of let his plan play out. I'm not going to sit there and get angry. But anyways.
And also, at the end of this episode, I mean, we'll get there, but the end of this episode is setting up something big that people are going to fucking love.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it.
They just need to shave that stupid squirrel tail off the younger sister's forehead. Bums me out. He doesn't like Trace's hairstyle. That's fair. Trace's. All right. So, anyways, decommissioned as a whole, Nick. I don't use filler, but to me, it was one of the more filler-esque episodes because it's the first episode, I believe, where the Bad Batch kind of continued from where they left off. They're essentially working for Sid at this point in time. They're mercs. It seems like their base of operation is on Ord Mantell at this point in time, and she sent him out on a task. And really what made the episode pay off ultimately was the revelation that they were competing with the Martez sisters, and then learning that the Martez sisters are working for the forces of good. They're going for the same target. And I think Rafa's line was awesome at the end. And again, that was a direct call back to her time with Ahsoka. Like, hey, in the end, everyone is going to choose a side because Rafa was very no, fuck them, fuck the Jedi, fuck the Republic. I'm for me and my sister, that's it. But now, through her experiences with Ahsoka, she's open to that. So overall, I did enjoy the episode. It added to the universe of Bad Batch. We've seen Omega. Now she just keeps growing and growing. First time she actually got into the fray with a weapon. And ultimately, like Nick said, the end and the inclusion of the Martez sisters has now thrust the Bad Batch right into proper Star Wars. They are now getting mixed up with the characters that we know make it into Rebels and beyond. So we'll get to the end because that obviously was the most exciting part of the episode, guessing who that could be. I think it's one of 3 characters, probably one character, but we'll save that for the key moments. So anything else you had on just your general thoughts of decommission, Nick?
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was cool how they went into like what a tactical droid actually did. I know it's like in the weeds and most casual fans don't really care, but to know that like that type of droid would literally like it would lead and it would learn, which is why the droid army was so efficient in battle versus the clones, because you had these specific droid types that were learning while they were on the battlefield and transmitting that information back into the servers or the hive mind that all the droids had. I thought that was pretty cool. And yeah, I mean, it's still good character building. And obviously one of the biggest things that we're going to have to keep an eye on throughout this entire first season is Wrecker. And he was another moment.
That finally came to a tipping point for those of you that may have missed the more subtle clues that his chip has been wonky since episode 3. But in this episode, it's coming. Like literally the words came out of his mouth. Good soldiers. It's happening. We've told you that for many episodes at this point in time, but what was it? You said something that I wanted to jump on, but because I'm a moron, it has already been deleted. The tactical droid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it shows you that whoever else wanted it clearly knows how it can be used against the Empire's clones, just like why the Bad Batch wanted it.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
they're expecting it to do the same thing that it used to do when the clones were good guys, to learn their tactics and then immediately come up with a counteroffensive or a counterattack. So I think it's pretty clear who the mystery character is, but we'll kind of kick those tires when we get there. So let's go over some of the eggs and Star Wars references. There's some obvious ones here. Not as many eggs as the last episode. I mean, Sid's office in the last episode was fantastic. We had the Proto Fett. We had other clone helmets. I swear that was a Mudhorn horn on her desk, and that little square could have been construed as a holocron. You just don't know with a character like Sid.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first egg really, or reference, was what Nick was just talking about. That when Sid mentioned the tactical droids of the Clone Wars era. So that was a nice callback, and it was kind of fun, Nick, to see the Bad Batch, probably one of the biggest banes of the droid army, actually teaming up with the droids at one point in time in this episode.
Yeah, that was really fun.
I
to
like
see.
that moment. I mean, obviously,
Hold them out.
this will come up in our fan question of the week responses. But the comedic moment with "Is there an echo in here?" could have been one of the funniest little scenes in all of Star Wars. I'm talking like that was just a brilliant gag. Is there an echo in here? Why, yes. And he comes over like so seriously. He's like, yes, I'm Echo. It's just like, I fucking loved it. I mean, it's silly, but there was a lot of fans that picked up on that humor, because it was just like, it was during such a tense moment, and then to get that levity from a clone like Echo, who is kind of almost more machine than man. He is kind of robotic. It was a great little moment, but I digress. Up next, the old stealth mode ship stick maneuver reared its head again in Star Wars. I mean, in terms of our chronology, the first person we saw do this was Han Solo. In terms of Star Wars chronology, you could argue it was Mr. Hello There himself when he was trying to elude the Fets and stuck himself to an asteroid. Clearly, maybe this is in the clone programming, but they also learned that if you stick yourself to the underside of a ship, you can avoid detection. So
I think that even during the episode, one of them mentioned it. I think like Tech was like, "Oh, we're gonna go in the stealth way."
Yeah.
And somebody says, like one of the other clones says to him, like, "Oh, this old trick from Clone Wars days."
I think
and Tech's like, "It always works."
I think you're spot on. So again, they know what we know, Nick. They know what they're doing. I mean, they're eggs and references. We got to see B1s and B2s for the first time in Bad Batch, but I think. I'll save that for the key moments. I liked seeing what was going on Corellia. I'll leave it at that, and I'll expand upon it here in a little bit.
Yep.
Obviously, the big reference here, Rafa and Trace. When I saw those other people, Nick, I'm like, who the hell could these people be? It's probably just going to be some one-offs, no big deal, just someone to kind of screw the Batch's plan. But no, they decided to bring in what I would consider at this point in time to be main characters in the animated universe of Star Wars. And I really thought it was brilliant, even though people didn't quite appreciate their thread in the Clone Wars. I loved the callback, seeing him here, and then obviously watching the episode play out and learning about the type of people Rafa and Trace are now, which technically probably is only a few months. We don't know how much time now has passed since they've left Camino. But it's probably a few months, maybe 6 months at the most, past when they would have been chilling with Ahsoka, really.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's more than... Actually, I can't imagine it's more than like 4 months.
Right.
Because you got to figure that, you know, when they met Ahsoka was right before Ahsoka was commissioned to go to...
The Siege of Mandalore.
Mandalore, and then that was it. I mean, like literally that was like a day, and then bang, you're right at the end of the Clone Wars, and everything's going down with Order 66. So, I mean, maybe 3-4 months. Yeah. So this is pretty quick. And I think that, you mentioned that Ahsoka had a really big impact on these two, and you can see it, that quick turnaround from like basically just doing whatever they need to do with crime syndicates to get by.
Especially Rafa. I mean, Rafa fucking hated Ahsoka's guts. Trace kind of took to her early on and felt bad for her a bit. And you could tell Trace was the yin of the yang, right? She was the white portion of that dynamic. She was the more calm, peaceful type. But yeah, I don't know. I thought this was a brilliant move, and you would have to expect at this point in time that this was planned all along. Filoni and his team have probably had this plan since they massaged that final season of the Clone Wars and decided to include the Bad Batch early on and then kick off their own series. So they continue to kick ass in Star Wars storytelling, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then one of the last eggs references we had, which makes perfect sense and also kind of fills in some gaps that we can fill in here. But they have R7, and R7 is Ahsoka's droid. Last time we saw R7, he was kind of in pieces. So this implies that from the end of the Clone Wars, where we saw Ahsoka and Rex kind of crash land on that Star Destroyer, bury their friends, and then probably left on that BTL that they jacked, Ahsoka had rebuilt the droid, or had it rebuilt, and she has dumped it off with the Martez sisters. So clearly the Martez sisters have linked up with at least Ahsoka and probably Rex, one of my candidates for the mystery figure at this point in time, and they are working with them for the greater cause here.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the person's going to end up being Ahsoka, because like you said, all of the parallels between those two characters, even, now adding in R7, I think they're more than likely talking to her. And then also it would be...
I got some things here, because I know you're not like me. You don't turn on the closed captioning, but Rafa clearly says, I'll patch him through. Okay. So you would think if they knew it was Ahsoka... let's save it for... because I've got ideas. Let's save it. So last thing here on the eggs with R7, they are also in the Silver Angel, for those of you... That is the Martez sister ship. I believe Trace is the one that named it because she is the pilot. All right, so key moments here. And I touched on this earlier, but it's pretty clear now. And I guess I didn't see this coming. I thought the batch would always be bobbing and weaving, moving. But it seems like they've kind of settled in and they're working for Sid. She said she's going to watch their backs, because she's heavily involved in the shady side of the galaxy, while they kind of do little jobs for her. But you got to wonder, Nick, while this relationship is seemingly working out for both sides right now, knowing who Sid is and knowing what she deals in, is there any chance that she doesn't sell them out at some point in time?
Oh, no. That's coming down the road. And she's still under the impression that Fennec Shand, as she said it, I don't know, I guess that's right. Fennec Shand is after them, not Omega. I feel like after she finds out, or if she does find out, that the target is not them and it's the girl, then that's going to flip things.
That's a good call. That's a good call. I think you're right, because it's not like they ever said, oh yeah, they're coming to get just her, which would have been kind of a dumb tell to give someone like Sid. So I think you're spot on. But like I said, this is the first time in the show where they kind of stayed still and they weren't popping off to their next location. So do you think now that they just kind of stay there until she sells them out, or could we see things shifting here this week in episode 7?
I mean, with Ord Mantell, the good thing is that it's like a syndicate world. It's a crime syndicate world.
Yeah, like a Nar Shaddaa. It's Gotcha.
It's not something that the Empire's going to dabble heavily in. They're probably going to leave Ord Mantell to the underworld rats and the crime syndicates. So in terms of a place for them to hide out safely from the Empire, it's probably not a bad idea. In terms of their safety overall, long term, like we were just talking about, probably not the best place to be, because eventually the scum and villainy is going to come for you.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, come on. Yeah, I mean, Sid, she can only use them for so long before she wants the big payday, which will probably be what, in my opinion, the Kaminoans are offering. Because I think the Kaminoans are the one that hired Fennec, not the Empire.
Yeah.
I know you weren't here, so I was kind of just doing my theory crafting last week, and I do believe, now that we know that Fennec was a bounty hunter, but not commissioned through the guild to do this job, she was directly commissioned. Pretty sure that was Lama Su Nala Se, one of those people.
Yeah. I mean, you know that they have the ability to reach out to bounty hunters directly. That's what they did with Jango Fett, so it wouldn't be a surprise.
And I still contend that Sid's bounty hunter guild contact is Grief Cardboard.
I think that you're going to get a lot of that, yeah. You're going to get a lot of these crossovers, these weaving in and outs of characters that we've now seen either in future canon series, like, down the road.
I just want an animated
or
cardboard, period. Like, I love Grief. I would love if Carl would do the voice. I just think it'd be great, but I'm sticking with it. All right, so next key moment here. This smelting factory on Corellia, I appreciate it because A, it had a very similar look to the droid factory on Geonosis.
Yep.
B, it showed us once and for all what the Empire did with all the fucking droids. They sent them to one of the galaxy's most well-known shipbuilding planets, melted them down, and you'd have to assume that this melted iron, steel, whatever, is going right into making Star Destroyers, TIE fighters, 100%. Like it's War Machine material.
Yeah, it's fueling their war machine, their war efforts, and everything like that. I mean, you would figure that they could have tried to repurpose them for battle purposes, but also you put yourself at risk for them being tampered with,
and
being
clearly
hacked, being turned against them.
Tarkin wants nothing to do with anything that is robotic or programmed, right, or grown.
Yes.
He's definitely moving forward with whatever that project's called, War Mantle. Yeah, War Mantle, right? Which is going to be the dummies that can't shoot straight program. So, he made the wrong choice after all. But yeah, the Empire is not into things that could potentially have their own free will at some point in time.
I mean, it's not, he was never going to accept droids into their army. And I mean, honestly, like we were saying, the metal is more important to them than the actual.
Because, I mean, you got to think how big the Empire becomes, how big their fleet becomes. I mean, shit, look what Homeboy in his black robe was doing on Exegol. He essentially built his own galactic-sized fleet. We learned through the Mandalorian Season 2 that Thrawn had a contact that would go to worlds and help him harvest resources for the fleet. So this probably just helped them get started. And then eventually that's why they start going to new worlds, taking them over and harvesting their resources to keep the machine going. But I did kind of like to get kind of a little bit of finality on the B1s and B2s. And now we know why there were hardly any left come the original trilogy era and beyond. I mean, the Empire just fucking melted them all down and reused the materials. Those of you in the chat, yes, 16 total episodes for Bad Batch Season 1. Take it to the bank. That is confirmed. All right, Nick touched on this earlier. I'm just going to say it again. I've been saying it since episode 3 where they crashed on that moon, and he goes, ow, my head hurts, right where the chip was. Well, it's there. It's only a matter of time. There's a good chance that this may happen next episode if they are going to meet Rex. I have a feeling that this could rear its ugly head after they meet Rex, which is going to help, hopefully, him be like, oh yeah, you just fucking take it out. They did it to me. Get that damn thing out. Who knows? But Wrecker's chip and its programming is almost pushed through whatever Lenny of Mice and Men slowness he has had to dull it down.
It's gonna, if he keeps banging his head, it's definitely
and it seems like any type of stressful moment, like he doesn't like heights and he had to do that, kind of swing himself over. It seems when he ever gets worked up or dinged that it starts to activate, and it got so far as to good soldiers. I mean, he almost crosshaired there, so keep an eye on good man Wrecker. I still think he will pay the iron price for this malfunction, sadly. But I do think the batch is going to have to lose a member or two to really add some emotional weight to them and the story overall.
Yeah, it's very possible.
All right. So I have a picture of Rafa up, and it is after she delivered that great line, like, you know what, Hunter, you may not know what to do now because you're a soldier. You don't really know how to operate in this new environment, but like me, everyone is going to pick a side in the end, and clearly, it looks like they picked the side of good. I mean, they say as much. They're like, hey, give us the droid because they're going to use it to stop this fucking Empire. Like, they already know the Empire's bad news. So, like I said, there's a good chance. Well, there's a 100% chance the sisters have been in contact with Ahsoka Tano. That's just straight up. They have her fucking droid, right? I mean, come on,
Yeah.
You got to at least put that out there. So let's go ahead and get to the mystery character.
Mm-hmm. I've come up with a new potential.
All right, so I'll lay down the 3 I kind of put into my video that are getting less and less views, which is, I don't know if it's a sign of the Bad Batch or what. The voice in his head was Crosshair also. Okay. Ahsoka will trigger him. Yeah, Bat, that's a good chance. I mean, it would have to be. We still don't really know. That's the interesting thing. Like, does the chip in the Order allow them to sense Force users somehow? I don't know how that would work. I mean, it made sense when they were in the line. You know, they're on the battlefield with their Jedi generals. Obviously, they know kill all the Jedi. All right, there's a fucking Jedi. Shoot. But I don't. How would a clone at this point know? Unless I guess they use the Force in front of them or whip out their lightsabers, right? I mean,
yeah, I don't think that they would ever they can sense it because in Fallen Order, like Cal Kestis is right there working right next to Stormtroopers, and they don't know he's a Jedi until he uses his powers.
Yeah, so, but that's a good point, though.
It's got to be based off of sight, like seeing a Jedi or something.
All right, so here are my 3 guesses, and I do want to put it out there. Rafa specifically says, I will patch him through. Yeah. So if you keep that in the back of your mind, Ahsoka is a hard pick. Unless she has, for some reason, even with the sisters who have her droid, decided to already assume the mantle of Fulcrum. I don't think that's likely. So no, I do not think it's Ahsoka, although I think Ahsoka is directly working with this mystery figure. So the next guess is Captain Rex. All right?
Okay.
Clearly, he would know what the fuck's going on. We already know through episode 2 that he's going through the galaxy, checking in on planets where he knew, old clones were at. He went and visited Cut to let him know what's happening. Rex is going around the galaxy, either trying to round up other rogue clones or trying to figure out ways to stop this new empire. So someone that would enlist the Martez sisters to get a tactical droid, which Rex would clearly know the power and the use of a tactical droid. So a mission like that coming from him makes complete sense.
Yep.
But they got a little cute, and I think they're trying to throw us off. Oh, it's probably not a clone when she's like, hey, I've got some information on some rogue clones for you. Trying to make it seem like maybe she's selling them out. But that could also be, hey, Rex, I know you're a clone, and I know you're looking for rogue clones. Guess what? I found some rogue clones. And number 3, and this one, it looks like Drew Originals threw this out there. Bail Organa. All right? So Bail, we know, was already getting involved with the rebellion. Even during Revenge of the Sith, it's a cut scene. Like, he meets with Mon Mothma, Padme. It's essentially the beginning of the rebellious senators and their planets. Yep. He would definitely be someone that Ahsoka would probably look for at the end of the war to see if he's still alive, because she knew that he knew that what Palpatine was up to probably wasn't on the up and up. And Bail would definitely be someone that the Martez sisters or other of these small rebel cells or early rebel cells would be working for to try to figure out ways to quickly curb this Imperial threat.
Yes.
We're getting Saul Guerrera from the chat, Drew Originals.
I was actually going to throw that out there as well, just as another potential. The Martez sisters are used to dealing with kind of shady characters during their time with working with crime syndicates and stuff like that. So Saw is another one of those ones where they could literally be saying, we found some rogue clones, and she's saying it more in like a, hey, we found some rogue clones if you want to come deal with them kind of way. I think that's like it's a less likely scenario, but it's still out there. He's already been introduced into the series.
I guess that's kind of my counterpoint there is, and I'm not saying we're never going to see Saw again, because he has a lot of potential for this series. As a lot of you in the chat are saying, I mean, maybe we see him get a little too radical. Maybe he reacts to what Crosshair did in, was that episode 4, where he literally just came and murdered all those Andoronians or whatever they were called. And you know what's funny, Nick? I just hit the Andoran episodes in the Clone Wars. They're early season 5. And I shit you not, a lot of those people that were wearing kind of the armor were in the Clone Wars. So these were the same freedom fighters that Saw was training with the Jedi, Skywalker, Kenobi, Ahsoka, and Rex, that ultimately Crosshair and his goons wiped out when Saw was, he was away from that location on the planet where Tarkin kind of sent the new recruits to get tested on. So they even carried those characters in through the Bad Batch, which is just brilliant stuff. But I feel like Saw, they've kind of used them. He's already met the Bad Batch. I'm not saying he's never going to pop up again, because I think there's a ton of potential to kind of see his version of the rebellion playing out. And hell, he was still in contact with the other rebel cells all the way through Star Wars Rebels. It really was Star Wars Rebels where they're like, okay, that's it. Like, dude's fucking basically
he's off the reservation
doing IED bombs. Like he was doing some real guerrilla shit on Jeddah at that point in time. So, and kind of the cloak there, that has some Bail Organa vibes on the cloak, right? There's like you can tell there's almost like a sash or fabric that's going over it. You could argue, is that a Jedi hood? I highly doubt it. I mean, what fucking Jedi's wearing their robes at this point in time?
I mean, unless it's Kenobi, which is highly unlikely.
No way. I do not believe this guy, especially at this key moment where he is basically fresh on Tatooine, dropping off the baby, is going to be getting mixed up in the rebellion.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, he doesn't get mixed up in the rebellion until Luke, R2, and C-3PO show up. So
as far as we know, I mean, maybe the Kenobi series will show us differently, but as far as we know, he kind of stays out of stuff.
So what's your take? Did I hit on who you thought it might be, or no?
I mean, I think it's likely Bail. He's probably the one that would get. I don't know. Like it's hard to see. Like, who would they respect the most? Is kind of the way that I'm trying to look at this. Like, who would the Martez sisters work with? And like, yes, I mean, ultimately they're all a part of the rebel superstructure, but I think that they would probably work best with either Ahsoka or Rex and not Bail, because Bail is kind of like Bail is everything that they hated. Like, if you think about them when they were. I
was going to say that you're going right down the same alley I was going to bring up here. It's.
Yeah,
I really think it's Rex. I'm going to put it out there. I'm a big boy. Take it to the bank. I think that was Rex. And Nick is right. You just have to think with how close Ahsoka and Rex are at the end of the Clone Wars. And knowing the type of people they are and knowing where they end up by Rebels and beyond. They clearly were going to get mixed up in the fight from the get-go. I mean, probably the moment they left that funeral, they were making plans like, what the fuck do we do now? We got to try to find this person. We got to try to get this contact. We got to try to get some of this and some of that, some of this, some of that, some of this. So naturally, you would think, especially because the sisters are in possession of Ahsoka's droid, which her and Rex had in pieces at the end of the Clone Wars, that Ahsoka probably linked up with the sisters, introduced them to Rex, explained the situation, what happened with Order 66, what happened with the clones, what happened with the Jedi. And they were like, yeah, Ahsoka, for you, we're down. We will become these freedom fighters with you. Introduce us to the grander plan. So I'm with you. I think that the him is probably going to be Rex.
Yeah, I think so too. It just makes the most sense.
For you, those in the chat, Cassian would be way too young at this point in time.
Yeah, no, Cassian is still at this point. Like Cassian would be like a new rebellion soldier. He would probably
he's
actually be around the same age as the older Martez sister.
Probably.
Because I mean, you get to maybe a little bit older because you get to Rogue One.
How old
which
do you think he is in Rogue One? In his 30s, late 20s?
I would say his early 30s,
right.
if any, at the oldest. But then you also have to realize that Rogue One is literally probably still 18 years out.
That's what I mean. So I mean,
now.
he could be in between 10 and 15 years old, maybe even that young.
He's still young. So he wouldn't, even if he did join the rebellion at age 10 and he's 15 now, he still wouldn't be in a position to where he would be a contact for somebody.
I think Rex or Bail are most likely. Bail, but I think Nick made a perfect point about Bail and the Martez sisters. But who knows? I mean, they've clearly drawn the line in the sand. We are for the forces of good. If Bail is the leader at that point in time, they probably would take orders from him. But more than likely, through their friendship and connection with Ahsoka, their possession of her droid, they probably directly work with her or Rex on these type of missions, and maybe Rex or Ahsoka reports up the chain to whoever is kind of controlling the early parts of the rebellion at this point in time.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I think that no matter who it is, it's going to have a big impact on the story that's being told, and also that will give you your next stopping point for the Bad Batch. You're going to go from Sid to whoever this is now as their main point of contact.
Hopefully, yeah. A lot of we have a lot of toy collectors that listen to us and they're like, "Yo, I'd take a Rex in street clothes or with a cloak on." Yeah. It's like, damn straight you would. And I'm sure Hasbro had that idea too. And they're like, "Hey guys, can you maybe do this mystery scene for us so we can squeeze some more dollars out of these suckers?" Because they just re-released his Black Series figure, which a lot of people have been clamoring for. So Cassian probably a little too young. I'm saying 10 or younger, maybe even. But yeah, so take it to the bank. Star Wars Time Show. We're saying it's Rex. There's a lot of indicators that point to that way, which means it's probably not going to happen. So we'll probably bat 1,000 like we usually do on bad speculative takes. But sometimes you just got to do it, right? You got to put it out there. That way you can do the chest beating warrior cries when you actually hit. Rex or Bail, but I'm like I said, Rex for sure. That's my take. You know what? Let's hedge the bet. Can we hedge the bet? I'll take Rex, you take Bail, and whoever's right, we'll just say we were right.
Yeah, we're right whenever, and then it'll end up being Saw, and we're both wrong. All
right, good. Well, yeah, now we definitely fucked our prediction. But we've got it covered. Rex or Bail, Star Wars Time Show. Take it to the bank. Post it on Reddit. We know it. Our sources have said it. Let's get those links in there. More comments on the main dude. All right, so that is the Bad Batch breakdown. Tones is like, I am liking the slower pace. He just wishes for longer episodes. And while I will not disagree, but for some idiot like me who has to, or doesn't have to, but feels compelled to make videos, I'm digging these little 20-minute joints because I can get my little Friday routine done in about 2 hours now. So I'm basically done with all my Star Wars nonsense work that no one will view by the time everyone wakes up in the house. So I've been nice in the little episodes. All right, loser shaves her head. Well, Nick already shaves his head, and I'm gonna hold out my fake bald head look for as long as I can until I get like a very clear patch in the back. I'm gonna keep buzzing.
Yeah, no, dude. I've been shaving my head now for 3+ years. I don't regret it. It's like as soon as I had the littlest hint of like hair's going, you're getting thin up here, I was like, Bing.
How often do you have to do it though? Because that's my big. I fuck it like, dude. My face clearly I don't like to shave. Under my neck gets once a week. That's it. Even when I am working professionally, like when I used to, go and teach in a classroom, I still would only shave once a week. That was it. That's it.
Yeah, I usually do the buzz once a week. I mean, it depends on what you're using, because like I use like an electric razor, And if I'm going down to the skin, like this one I did a couple of days ago, I use like my beard trimmer and I just take the guard off and I use that.
Yeah.
But then I also have like the Norelco like neck shaver, and I can use that on my head, and then I'm down to the skin.
So you don't get the cream out and do a straight bic to the head. No. You know what? As we're talking about all this grooming, Nick, I would like to remind everyone that support for the Star Wars Time Show is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0, which Nick and I have. We have used. You saw Nick's little video. I thought it was fun. You never know what he's going to do when he opens up those pant drawers. But I think we got the idea. So, yeah, you heard that right. The 4.0 is now available. So join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, our fans of the Star Wars Time Show. You can get 20% off and free worldwide shipping if you use the code SWTS at checkout. All right. So, like we've been saying, and, you know, we've had these for a few weeks now. I've used mine extensively. Nick, are you a trimmer guard type of guy, or do you go guardless when you're working over your family jewels with the Lawnmower 4.0?
So the first time I did it with a guard. But then after that trim, I took the guard off and I went guardless. And honestly, like, it depends on what your styling is for downstairs hairdos.
Got you.
Like I like to keep.
Do you like a landing strip? Do you like shave little pictures
I like
into it?
Just like the upstairs. I like it just like the upstairs.
So like sandpaper.
I'm going down as far as I can go. So I go guardless, and honestly, it's been a very nice experience. You know, I feel safe. I feel comfortable.
Yeah, because it's got that ceramic clipper, right? Like, you know, the top of it's metal, but the moving part's ceramic, unlike most shavers where, you know, sometimes you can get down there and you might catch a little bit of your scrotum and that doesn't feel so great. But I haven't had that happen with the Lawnmower 4.0. I've been using the trimmer guards, which allow you to go from size 1 to 4. Because, you know, sometimes I like a little bit of a carpet down there, right? I don't want to look too little boyish, because I'll tell you what, if it weren't for the bald head, when I shave my face, even at almost 41, I still look like a little kid. You know, I'm a short guy. I've gotten skinnier, but if I shave the beard and I don't have a bald head, I still look a little young. So I don't want just that baldness down there with the family jewels. Plus, with the Lawnmower 4.0, Nick, I don't know if you tried to do it in the dark, but it has a 4000K LED spotlight, which, you know, you might go, well, what the hell do I need that for in a trimmer? Well, I'll tell you what, it actually does come in handy, especially when you're down there, you know, peeling back the bat wings, scooping out that stuff in between your legs. It does give you a nice, clear view of what's happening. Plus, it's got that multi-function on-off switch that actually works quite well when you're traveling, because it has a travel lock that you can kind of toggle with a certain amount of button presses. Yeah. And I don't know about you, dude, but the wireless charging is cooler than I thought it would be for a man grooming tool. Because not only can you use it with the dock that they send you, but you could throw it on your phone charge or whatever. It works with any wireless charger or most. So you know what? Very convenient. It's time to get your own ball, hair, and body trimmer with Manscaped. What are you all waiting for? You got to make me time the best time. And they're not bullshitting around. I can't tell you how much fun it is to get in there and kind of groom things. I think I need to work on my pits again because they're starting to sweat a lot. I like to kind of shave my pits out over the summer. And I'll use my Lawnmower 4.0. So don't forget, you can get 20% off plus free shipping if you use the code SWTS at manscaped.com at checkout. I'll even go ahead and throw up the graphic here on the video so you can see it. We'll have the code running for the rest of the show. Yes, this is an ad, YouTube. Don't yell at us, all right?
Oh, no.
So just please don't forget, get 20% off and free shipping with the code SWTS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Just use SWTS. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. And thank you to those who have taken advantage of our code. We've seen some of the images in our Discord. I know some friends of mine personally have taken advantage of the offer. So we appreciate all of you. This very well could be the last ad read. We don't know, but we are in the last week of our promo period. So wish us luck. But again, don't forget, use SWTS at manscaped.com on anything. The boxers, I know Tone's got some boxers. I got the boxers. Nick's they're actually great fucking boxers. No bullshit.
They're really comfortable.
No bullshit.
Yeah.
I would tell you if it was bullshit, they're super comfortable. It's like that spandex cottony type of stuff. So it's
I know it's stretchy
and breathable.
A lot of boxes,
they're nice and breathable.
Yeah.
They don't feel too tight, but they definitely keep it, especially if you've got a large unit, they keep it nice and steady down there. So I
also tested out. I got some of their body wash as well because they just have like a regular shower gel body wash, and it smells really good. Like it smells so good that like usually if you're going out somewhere nice, you'll like spritz on some cologne. Like it smells better than most colognes that I've used. So it's like you wash yourself.
Speaking of smells, because I don't do that either, but I have this. It's a Chewbacca toiletries bag, and it came with Chewbacca, hair goo, which I don't need. Chewbacca body soap, but there's a Chewbacca body spray, and I shit you not, it's probably the best smelling body spray I've ever had. But where the fuck do you find Chewbacca body spray?
Yeah, I know. It's like, can you Google that?
So like once it runs out, I'm fucked.
Yeah, that you have to use it sparingly, but like I said, use the Manscaped body wash because it'll give you that smell that you're looking for without having. It's funny.
I'm reading the chat right here, and we actually did not have that planned. So Bat, you did tee that up. You teed it up. We're just we're good like that. We saw the transition coming. I was like, you know what? We're sitting here talking about shaving. This is the time I should probably drop in the read. But anyways, let's get back to Star Wars. Yeah. All right, so I put this out today, and really, it's a lot of no duh type of shit, but it was kind of a slow week, so why not? We got some Book of Boba Fett news here, and this is one of those sites that pops up on Reddit, and you just have to be like, oh, okay, yeah, LRM Online, you bet. Just like people probably say when they see StarWarsTime.net.
Star Wars Time.
Yeah,
what?
But it's the same thing. So LRM Online, they're like, hey, our sources have confirmed Boss is going to be in Book of Boba. And I think for any fan worth their salt are going, well, no shit. I mean, Bosk in particular makes the most sense out of any of the OT bounty hunters, especially if you consider the young Boba and Boss threads in the Clone Wars. I mean, Bosk essentially becomes his muscle, his caretaker, his protector. I mean, they are on a team, and Bosk looks out for him almost like he's his son. Obviously when they grow up, and I'm going to talk about this once I get in the War of the Bounty Hunters, but it seems everyone kind of hates Boba Fett at that point in time. So, maybe their relationship sours, but even then, that's a great opportunity for Book of Boba if they're not, going to do a flashback. So, the rumor of Boss showing up in Book of Boba, while it maybe come from a site that it's like, okay, maybe not, I think it would be I would not be shocked to see this Transdoshan show up in that series.
No, totally agree. I mean, like you said, the biggest one outside, now with the War of the Bounty Hunters, stuff like that, people don't really read the comics, but he's in there. But the biggest one was the Clone Wars stuff, like you mentioned, like the relationship that was built there between Bosk and between Boba. I mean, if we're assuming that this show is going to be flashback, is going to incorporate flashbacks, be a little bit of past, a little bit of the present, then you could see a lot of interactions between these two characters, even around the same time as the ESB timeline. You could show a little bit of the competition, you could see the moment right after they leave this fucking Star Destroyer where they're talking to Vader and they're all bullshitting
Boba Fett rips an important piece out of the hound's tooth so Boss can't fly away right away.
Yeah,
shit like that.
It would not surprise me, because if you're going to treat this show as marquee moments from Boba Fett's life, this is the main one. The scene that's in this image here on Star Wars Time.
I would love to see a flash. You've hit on something there. I mean, how great. Obviously, they owe us the flashback of how he gets out of the pit. But like what Nick is spitballing there, where you just kind of see the bounty hunters talk to each other after Vader gives them their marching orders to find Solo. Yeah, that would be excellent too. I mean, I do believe Book of Boba is going to be set predominantly in that Mando present. Yeah. But I hope we get a few flashbacks. I mean, they owe us the one. I will die on that sword. You have to, even if it's Cobb Vanth fucking montage style, you have to show how he got out, loses the armor, so on and so forth. I mean, at this point, you could even argue they may need to dedicate the whole first episode to how he goes from the Sarlacc pit to Fennec Shan's body, right? In season 1.
I mean, there's a lot of potential for what can be done in that series. I think flashbacks could be really fucking cool, man, but who knows? I mean, and there's still the rumor. We don't know if this is a confirmed casting. We don't know. There was the rumor about Jordan Bolger being casted in. Right,
and then it's like, maybe it was actually for Mando season 3.
Yeah, maybe it's Mando. Who knows? I mean, if that turns out to be a casting for Book of Boba and he's playing young Boba, I mean, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I am... Bosch showing up would not surprise me at all. I know we're getting some people in here. Cad Bane, 100%. Cad Bane would be huge, especially if, maybe the Bad Batch will fill that gap in or finally pay off on that story. But those in the know, at one point in time, there was going to be a canon Clone Wars episode where it showed how Boba Fett not only gets the ding in his helmet, but what happens with Cad Bane and kind of how Boba builds his legend, because he takes him out in a duel. I mean, they have a straight up old school duel, and without his helmet, Cad probably wins, but for some reason, Cad agreed to do a duel with someone wearing Beskar armor. So I guess he deserves to die anyways. But
yeah, he felt like he's like, I can hit him right in the neck.
I can hit him right in the neck. Like he's got that like that modulated voice. Man, every time we talk about this stuff, I just start flashing back to some of the Clone Wars I watched. And, end of season 4, you get the Maul, like the return of Maul. And I forgot like how fucking cracked out he is. And even Savage is like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? But yeah, it's all great stuff. And I think they kill Adi Gallia in the Clone Wars before she dies in Revenge of the Sith, right? Because wasn't Adi the one that you kind of just see her getting blown up on a speeder, or... am I getting my random Jedi crossed?
That might have been Luminara.
That's definitely not Luminara.
I can't remember.
Either way, I'm pretty sure even the Clone Wars kind of retconned some of Order 66, but damn. Anyways, all right.
It's so weird too, because you got so many Jedi that you could have put up there. Why would you kill the same one twice?
Yeah, because it
like just pick somebody else.
This is the way it goes, and I kind of fucked up the chronological watch, because I believe it's the last 2 or 3 episodes of season 4 kick off the big Maul thread. No, I think it's just the last 2. Savage finds him, brings him back to Mother. She kind of fixes him, puts us, basically sucks the insanity out of his head. And reminds him of why he's so angry and what he can do. And gives him his legs, all that fun stuff. The next episode, they just go to a planet, and I believe they just start fucking killing people to draw out Kenobi. It's fucking great. Like, you gotta love Maul and Savage. Yeah. And Kenobi shows up, but guess who else is a bounty hunter at this point in time and also senses a resurgence of Savage's aura. So Asajj goes after him. Yep. So you have this episode, you have 2 former enemies in Ventress and Kenobi pretty much have to team up. And if they didn't team up, they both would have got killed by these 2. Because then they leave, and then here's where I fucked up. The first episode of season 5 picks up with another Maul and Savage thread. It's the one where they essentially try to take Hondo's pirates for their own. But that's the one where Kenobi shows up with, I think, Adi Gallia, and she gets fucking wasted by Savage in 1-to-1 combat. So, but I fucked up. That is like the one episode of season 5 that's out of order. 501 you should watch after like 512 or something like that. But anyways, so yeah, Bosk won't surprise me. We laughed at, they're like, well, we know, or we've heard that Din Djarin will be in the book. It's like, no fucking shit. Like,
yeah, it's literally
my little girl could have called that out, and I don't even think she likes Star Wars anymore. But any of the old bounty hunters, you can almost bank on even maybe a cameo, an Easter egg type of deal. Maybe Forlom's head will be sitting in Boba's new palace, something like that. But just wait till I get to the War of the Bounty Hunters. Like, holy fuck. I hate reading. And I'm at this point, Nick, I'm buying every crossover issue now too. That's how well they've set this up, but we'll get there. The other little deal on the Book of Boba before we move on to some Mando news is it's confirmed via Ming Na, who was on a 501st Legion live stream. They're doing some charity drive because they have fans and people would actually watch it and they could do that shit. We can't. But she confirms that the Book of Boba principle's over. I don't really think that's huge news. We and the other one I'm going to talk about, let's just get into it because the Mando article, Nick, this is another one. It's like you can tell it's slow in Star Wars newsdom.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they ran this tweet like, oh, Ewan McGregor was talking to Pedro and Variety's Actors on Actors, and Pedro confirmed that they haven't even started shooting Mando Season 3 yet. And people are like, oh my God. I'm like, didn't you?
Dude, we knew that.
Didn't you guys listen to what Jon Favreau said in December of 2021? Like, it's on our site, and we talked about it. He literally said, we are doing the Book of Boba, which is almost ready for principal. Mando Season 3 is not even really to pre-production yet, all right?
Yeah.
So, of course, they're not shooting The Mandalorian. It's like people just forget this shit.
Dude, they're shooting three other series concurrently. They were shooting Book of Boba, they're shooting Andor, and they're shooting Kenobi. Like, I don't even know if they have enough production crew to have shot Mando at the same time.
Well, but Favreau laid down the plan.
Yeah,
this is not a surprise. Mando Season 3 at earliest, and I still think it's going to hit, it's going to be the fall 2022 release. Yeah. Plain and simple. I bet they start principal later this year, hit early in 2022, kind of like they did for Season 2, and then by October of 2022, Mando Season 3 is coming out. And maybe they rotate Book of Boba and Mando from here on out. Who knows? Maybe Book's just one season. I personally would rather them just keep the Mandos coming out, because that's what's kind of teed everything up, but that's why I think the Book of Boba is predominantly going to be set in the present. I don't think John, Dave, and the team are going to want to take too much steam away from that Mando locomotive that they got running 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, of course not. They're not going to let that sit for too long. But also, like we were mentioning, the Book of Boba Fett is going to be closely related to Mando. I mean, you're not going to be following Din and the main characters there, but you're set in the same time period. You're in the same region of the universe. Right. And you're going to be interacting with a lot of characters that either, you know, have been in The Mandalorian or could show up in Season 3 of The Mandalorian. Like, these shows are going to... It's what Kathy talked about. This show is going to weave in with Mando. And then,
to me, Nick, do you think it's fair to say that Book of Boba could almost be Mando 2.5?
Yeah, like Mando Season 2.5.
We are going to get some backstory on the man, but a lot of the events are probably going to take place in that Mando timeline, and they may ripple into The Mandalorian the other series.
Like, because of how close these characters are, and because that they're dealing in the same factions within the universe, like you said, the ripple effects from Book of Boba are going to be felt in Mando, and then
you would have to think they're kind of boys at this point in time too, right? I mean, hell, I mean, Boba became Din's fucking Uber driver, for Christ's sakes. I mean, he was taking him wherever he wanted to go. So, I do think a lot of Book of Boba will. It has to flesh out the guy, but I think it's also going to start teeing stuff up for future Mando and potentially Rangers if they do decide to develop it again, and some of the other shows they talked about. So this to me was another, like, hey, it was awesome seeing Ewan almost get Pedro in trouble because he's like, hey man, you guys shooting? He's like, nah, we're not even shooting yet. He's like, oh shit, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that. But I like watching these type of guys talk to each other. Could you see Ewan and Pedro just maybe sitting out smoking a joint, drinking a beer, and then maybe hopping on a hog and driving it, a few hundred miles?
I feel like these two would get along famously. And, obviously there's not really an avenue for their characters to link up in the Star Wars universe.
No.
But
Yeah,
I think
Obi-Wan's dead as fuck. So
yeah, given their style and like how they are as people, I feel like these two actors could do well on a project together of some sort.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's too bad. Yeah. Maybe Din will be Force infused, and he'll start seeing visions of old man Force Ghost Kenobi or something down the road.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, it's funny seeing these two talk to each other. It's like, man, wouldn't it be nice to be one of those guys?
Yeah.
But hey, look at us. I'm sitting in the basement. Nick's in a new house falling apart. I mean, we really can't ask for anything more. Cryptocurrency is going down the toilet. I've got way more money than I ever dreamed of mixed up in a meme stock right now, trying to ride that gamble. So, hey, yeah. It's way better than being involved in Star Wars.
Luckily, I didn't invest too heavily into the meme stock because I was just like, well, I'll put enough in it to where if it does take off Bitcoin style, then I'll be a billionaire. Right. But I will hold off enough to where I'm not going to break myself.
The intern, and I'll give him credit, he's hit on every tip he's given me so far, and I wish I listened to him at the time, but it was probably a month ago. And he's like, dude, they're going to start doing it again with AMC. I think AMC was at like $9.
I mean, well, realistically, AMC is going to start naturally going up because theaters are opening.
Oh, no, you're right, but it's still getting a squeeze right now. I mean, dude, it was 9 a month ago. It hit 70 last week. So, I mean, and it still has no real value in the real world quite yet. But you are right. They are doing some smart things with the meme fame they found. They are selling some shares and reinvesting and paying down their debt. And I do think they'll be one of the only chains left, at least here in the States, when this is all said and done. But this is the first time, and just based on seeing what was happening, and if I would have took the intern's advice from the get-go, I'd be sitting here having a real hard time trying not to sell every day because it would have been a ridiculous gain. But at this point in time, we have almost 1,000 shares. So do the math. There's a good chunk of cash invested. I'm not going to say we did it smart because it's still, we could lose the money and we lost the money, but it's not going to kill the Haywoods. I guess I'll put it at that. Yeah. So I guess I'm impressed that we even had the capital to do that, like just liquid capital. I've done something right in life, my wife and I guess, but it's also like, yeah, it's a gamble. If we lose, we're not going to like lose a house or anything or have to sell cars, but that's a nice little chunk of change that we may be flushing down the toilet. So
yeah. I'm just letting, like, people will benefit off of it. I don't really need to.
I'm diamond hands right now, brother. Diamond hands, HODL all the way. Me and the intern, like I said, everything he's given me has hit. I believe in it. The force is with us. I'm up across the board. So I'm at this point, I'm just getting greedy and diamond handsing to see if it's actually going to do this gamma squeeze that they're predicting, where some of these people that are in the know think that AMC could rocket up to 1,000.
I mean, it could.
And if that happens, might not be doing the show anymore. I might finally get that beach house I've been wanting.
You should just, as soon as it hits there or even close to there, sell and get your money and get the fuck out.
I am not cut out for this, by the way. I am not cut out for this, dude, because when it was hitting 70, I'm like, holy shit, I've almost tripled. Let's do it. And I'm like, yeah, but it could do this and that. And then I sit there all weekend like the nerves are kicking in, like, I could have had an extra 30 grand and now it's going down. And then it comes up on Monday, it goes higher. I'm like, see, I'm smart as fuck. I knew I should be holding. It's just it's a constant head game at this point in time. But
yeah, that's why I don't do it. I just don't care enough.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's one of those deals where it's been proven with GameStop, so there is like some legit instances of this happening. And I was like, you know what? I'm the one that always sits there with hindsight and go, man, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have got in. And this time I was like, fuck it. I'm doing it. I'm either going to be sitting here wanting to punch my own eyes out, or I'm going to be going, damn, Heather, we fucking did it. We have balls of steel. We have diamond hands. And now look what we've just done for our lives. So everyone keep those positive Force vibes out there. Keep the squeeze going. If you own AMC, hold the line, right? We are apes. Apes together strong. Okay? That's where that comes from, by the way. I'm learning a lot of stuff, like what FUD is, what apes mean. But I love the apes thing because it's from Caesar. And if we all hold together, we are strong. All right. So let's get into some story time with Matt. And I'm really not going to take a long time here because we've been going 2.5. Nick and I, we're just getting back to this. I don't know if our vocal cords are ready for a marathon Star Wars time show, the 4-hour variety. But you heard me talking about it earlier. The War of the Bounty Hunters miniseries is officially kicked off. I recapped the prelude for you, but at this point in time, the crossover issues, which are appearing in the Vader run, the Star Wars run, the Bounty Hunter run, and the Afra run, are also happening, as well as the first official issue of War of the Bounty Hunters. So before I get to that issue, I'm going to talk about Vader 12, Nick, because this is one of the first ones of the Vader run that's crossing into War of the Bounty Hunters. And again, just real quick, if you're not in the know, this War of the Bounty Hunters is a mini series that's pretty much running all summer, I believe, into the fall. Itself is going to have 5 issues plus the prelude. But like I said, every issue coming out from now into the fall of Vader, of Star Wars, of Afra, of Bounty Hunters is also going to cross into the War of the Bounty Hunters thread. So what we got in Vader 12, at least canon-wise, it's worth noting. All right, so those of you who've been listening to Storytime throughout the months here, you watch these on YouTube. Thank you. And by the way, check them out, youtube.com, Star Wars Time Show. I do them for these comics. Would love the views, the comments, the likes, the subs, the notifications, all that jazz. But so it picks up, and you can kind of see in the thumbnail there where, Vader, he's been beaten down. He learned his lesson. Palpatine showed him who's boss. Brought him to Exegol and was like, yo, motherfucker, you think you're tough? Look at me on Exegol. I'll fuck your face. And he did. All right. Not literally, but he messed him up. You can see Ochi Bastoon. He got his eyes ripped out essentially from Sith Force energy in this massive Kyber crystal room. But it's funny, Nick. So they're like wheeling Vader into the same operating room we see him in Revenge of the Sith, right?
Okay.
All of Palpatine's advisors are like, look at him, that little bitch, basically making fun of him. And they're like, Palpatine, you're going to rebuild him? Really? Like, aren't you worried what he's going to do to you? Palpatine's like, fuck you guys. Like, I do this for fun. This is on purpose. Like, I do this to get him all worked up and get a little more power into him. But don't worry. He saw me on Exegol. He knows he has no chance. So go ahead and rebuild him. So we get a great moment and just shows you how fucking intense Vader is. So he's on the operating table. The droid comes out. It's got buzzsaws and shit ready to cut him up and put new legs on. And the droid's like, I'm going to deactivate you. So basically like, I'm going to turn you off so you don't feel anything. He's like, no! I want to feel myself getting mutilated with no anesthesia, nothing. So as they're like, each panel is showing like parts getting chopped off, and Vader's like, just like the guy loves to be in pain and to be angry. So I love that moment.
Fuels his dark side.
But really the big canon thing in this was that as he's getting worked on, he's back to thinking about his son. And he's like, you know what? You're pretty good. You've got some power. You impressed me a bit there on Bespin. But you know what, motherfucker? The more I think about it, you've never done anything spectacular by yourself. You didn't blow up the Death Star by yourself. I've just realized you need your friends to be great. You are a weakling. So you kind of get a flashback. Apparently, right after the Battle of Yavin, the destruction of DS1, Vader decided, like, you know what? My son's a pussy. He's got these friends that make him a pussy. Who is that motherfucker that helped him in that trench? Ah, yes. That smuggler that flies the Millennium Falcon. So what I learned is Vader took it upon himself, a bit after A New Hope, to track down Han and Chewie. They were on Corellia doing God knows what, probably smuggling or doing something goofy, because he wants to kill him, just so Luke loses those attachments, loses those who can help him reach his true power potential. And the only reason Han and Chewie got away, because, I mean, clearly they fly away. Vader's blocking Falcon bolts with the Force. He jumps in his TIE, chases him down. But because they're on Corellia, Nick, they land in a, whatever the model is of the Falcon, they basically land at its factory. So you see nothing but Millennium Falcons, right?
Wow.
And Vader's just like, he goes up to the guy, he's like, yeah, you see these motherfucking cocksuckers? The guy's like, oh, Lord Vader, I'd love to find them for you. And at that point, he's pissed. He's like, fuck it, they're lost. I don't want you to save me. And the guy's like, no, we can help you find them. So he cuts them in half just because, you know, you don't fucking question the Dark Lord of the Sith after he tells you what he wants. So that was, you know, that was kind of the interesting canon there. Vader went down to try and kill Han and Chewbacca after A New Hope. But at the end, and where it crosses over into the War of the Bounty Hunters, which at this point in time, all we really know is that Boba Fett had to go to Nar Shaddaa because Han was melting in the carbonite. He found the guy that was going to fix him. By the time he came back, Han Solo was gone. All right? So at this point in time, Han Solo in carbonite is somewhere in the galaxy. But Vader still remembering that, hey, I've used this guy before. I used him to get Luke to Bespin to try fuck up Luke there. You know, we need to figure out what the fuck's going on with this. So he goes to a hut called, I think he's Boku or something. And by the way, Nick, this hut looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime.
That name sounds familiar. Like, I don't know if I heard it.
It was just odd to see a hut with musculature. Like, I mean,
and not just like a fat.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know that Hutts could choose to work out if they wanted to, because this Boku dude is jacked. I mean, he still looks like a fucking slug, but he's jacked. But anyways, and this is where it ends. Vader is going to this Boku guy to kind of figure out, all right, well, where the fuck's Solo? We know Jabba wanted him. What the hell's going on? Blah blah blah. We need information. And Vader brings his new buddy Ochi with him. Oh,
yep.
We also learn here how Ochi got those big, dumb, black, glassy eyes you see him with in Tross. Yeah. He had to get him surgically implanted because of Palpatine's Force display on Exegol.
I was gonna say, like, how can he see now?
Yeah, no, I missed that. They directly address it. So while Vader's getting chopped to pieces, they get Ochi some new like literally like deer eyes. They're like these big, dumb, glassy black eyes. But apparently Ochi and Vader, they were kind of chilling back in the post-Empire days. So they go to this slug, and Ochi's like, hey, motherfucker, you better figure this shit out, because you are now working for Vader just like myself. And that's where it ends. So Vader is getting in the mix of searching for Solo. And that leads me into the first real issue of the War of the Bounty Hunters, which released last week. And Nick, I'll tell you what, could be one of the greatest Star Wars comics I've read. And it's easily the best case people could now make for Boba Fett during the original trilogy being the big bad motherfucker that all of you guys used to yell at me about, because holy shit.
These comics are making you come around. I remember you read one pre our little break.
Yeah, the Prelude. It was the Prelude issue where he paints himself black, and he really...
Dude, you were like, fuck, I'm coming around to Bozo Fett.
This one seals the deal. I even feel bad calling him Bozo Fett at this point in time.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Because what he does in War of the Bounty Hunters #1 really does showcase to someone like me who my only vision of Boba Fett during the original trilogy era was Empire and Return of the Jedi. That's it. I didn't get mixed up in all that other shit you guys kept telling me I was stupid for not reading. But hey, whatever. This is it, man. I mean, so this issue drops some major fucking cannon bombs. Major bombs. I mean, the Boba Fett stuff is more eye candy and just badassness. But the true gem of this issue is its tie to Solo, a Star Wars story. It is at this point in time, if we don't get anything else Solo, this is now the sequel.
I think that, I don't know, did you talk about this last week? But Bob Chapek.
Yes, I did. Yes, okay. we brought up his major gaffe.
Yeah,
and we kind of riffed on that, and we're like, that's a subconscious brain fart. Pretty.
He could have meant the Lando series because they're like very closely connected. But maybe there's something there, man. I hope there is.
So anyways, like I said, I have enjoyed this so much that I went out, I read the Dr. Aphra issue, which was still kind of like, but it does tie in. I read the Bounty Hunter issue, which I actually liked because it showed that this Valance guy, or whatever the fuck his name is, this cyborg dude, was actually kind of boys with Solo. And to make a long story short, he was the Bounty Hunter thread. He's essentially trying to go help find Han to save him. But he's with he's with Dengar, and Dengar kind of rats him out to Zuckuss and Forlom. It's crazy. Like I'm telling you, dude, every big hitter from the bounty hunters during Empire Strikes Back are getting their little time in the sun in this crossover. But anyways, to summarize what happened in Bounty Hunter, essentially in Bounty Hunter, Forlom and Zuckuss get Boba Fett's location, which we know is on Nar Shaddaa because that happened in the prelude. So when this issue opens, we get the tease of this mystery character, which I'll kind of give you at the end because she's massive. It's a massive reveal. But we learned that Han was taken by this mysterious faction, and they have this female leader. She's in a cloak. She's got a hood up. You don't see her and who she is until the very end. But it's clear that this faction, they're doing it because they see it was really some great insight to the character of Han Solo. But the way this person explains it and why they went after Han Solo and Carbonite, they said, listen, at this point in time, Han Solo is essentially bringing the galaxy together because he is being sought after by every main faction in Star Wars. The Rebels are looking for him. The Empire is looking for him through Vader. Aphra and, what's her name? Sena, one of Solo's original girlfriends, are looking for him. The Hutts are looking for him. The bounty hunters are looking for him. So just think about that. A low-life smuggler like Han Solo at one point in time was sought after by every major player in the galaxy.
Yeah. Literally the focus of the entire galaxy.
And that's what this series is about. And that's why it's brilliant, because it is, you're getting this wide swath of all these major Star Wars characters and factions all vying for Han Solo and Carbonite. But the beauty of it is, and I'll get to it at the end, but the ties to Solo itself. I mean, hopefully Bob was not fucking around, and we do get that. But like I said, if we don't, these comics will serve as a Solo sequel 100%, because as we learned, the reason this faction took Solo, because they knew it would give them juice. It would give them juice. It would give them, power. It'd give them heat to kind of to make themselves known again in the galaxy. And the key phrase there was known again in the galaxy. So when we get to the end, I'll tell you, but this faction was a major player in the galaxy at some point in time, but as you learn through this issue, they kind of went away. There's a reason they went away, which we'll find out, but now they're trying to kind of inject themselves back into the fold to become a main player, and they made the choice like, hey, if we get Solo, we're going to have every motherfucker in this galaxy after him. We can wheel and deal and kind of get ourselves back to the top, all right? So that kind of sets everything up. So back to Boba himself. Thanks to the bounty hunter run, Forlom and Zuckuss know where they're at, so guess what? They show up on Nar Shaddaa and they start fucking with the Fett, and that is bad move there, boys. Because as soon as he shows up, they put like a little detonator on his ship, kind of blow him up. He's like, guys, what the fuck's going on? He's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And they're like, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, hey, Fett, just, give us the information. We won't kill you. We respect you. All this great shit. And he's like, no, listen, you guys fucked up when you just jacked my ship. That was my dad's ship. And he flies away and uses the tail guns to start blasting at Zuckuss and Forlom. Blows up like the bridge you're on. Within a few seconds, he already has the power position over Zuckuss. We could call it the high ground. And, you know, he's shit talking Zuckuss like, who sent you here? Blah, blah, blah. He doesn't get the information. So, in my mind, at least until, well, I guess we don't see a body, but he throws Zuckuss off a Coruscant platform. Like, just, see you later, pal. Like,
yeah, no, he's fucking dead.
But, you know, it is Star Wars. It is science fiction. So technically we have to go to the rule. If you don't see the body, they're not gone. But they don't show body. So right there, he doesn't fuck around. He doesn't take prisoners. He could have used Zuckuss for information. He just kills him. Or so we think. He then goes over to Forlom, who's already kind of fucked up, chops him to pieces, like just cuts his body in half, I think chops off his limbs, and then rips his head off and brings his head into the Slave One and hooks it up to get information, right? Because, you know, Forlom's a bot.
Yeah, he's a robot.
Yeah, Forlom, he's like, oh, hey, man, like, we could work together, dude. You know, Forlom's like pleading with Fett, like, hey, man, I get it. Like, you're going to get the information. You're going to figure out who gave us this bounty. Because what has happened, Nick, because Fett lost Solo, Jabba put an even bigger bounty on Fett's head than fucking Solo's head. And it's an open bounty. So every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the universe is now gunning for Fett.
It's like the John Wick movie.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
It's John Wick 3. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
You're 100% right. That's a great comparison. So Fett knows, like, hey, if I'm going to get Solo back, I got to fucking take care of this bounty that fat ass put on my head. So that's why he needs Forlom to figure out, all right, who commissioned this? He learns it's Jabba, so he goes there. He's on Tatooine. He's walking up to the palace, still holding Forlom's head by, like, its neck cord. And Forlom's like, hey, man, we could work together. Like, you know, I love
how he's talking the whole time, too, with a disembodied head.
It's great. He's like, hey, we could work together, pal. You know, I could help you out. We make a good team. I got a lot of information up here. And Fett just casually doesn't even look and throws him off a bridge. Like, just chucks his head off the bridge after Forlom's like, dude, I can be a valuable asset to your little one-man bounty hunter team. And Fett's like, fuck you. And just tosses his head. So, you know, Forlom could be rebuilt. He is, I guess, a robot. But by the end of this issue, Boba Fett took out one little dickhead who tried to kill him in a bar, seemingly took out Zuckuss and Forlom in one fell swoop. He goes to Jabba's palace. Bib comes out like, hey, buddy, what's going on? And right there, he's like, boom, 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 shoots a bunch of Gamorrean guards. He's like, all right, motherfucker, take me to Jabba. We got to clear this up. It wasn't my fault. What the fuck's going on?
Wow.
All right, so he finally convinces Bib to give him some information, and that information is this hooded character. And Bib's like, this is the faction that contacted Jabba and offered to give him Solo. Jabba's not here. And we see that Jabba is on a huge flotilla of huts. Like, all the huts have got in their big ships, and they're making their way to this new faction. And this is where, if you didn't see the spoiler part, which I did, so I kind of fucked the surprise part, but this is where, if you know your shit, you could start to piece together who they may be going to meet. Because Jabba goes, he's like, I have an idea who this faction is. But the fact that their leader hasn't been found out in all these years is curious, because this type of guy, this type of leader, and this type of world can't stay hidden.
Yeah.
All right. And he's like, this was a major faction, a major criminal faction back in the day. But then they just kind of disappeared. And he's like, but I think this is them. The only thing that is kind of screwing me is that their leader was so prominent, was such a distinct character and player in the galaxy, that it would be impossible for him to have hid all these years. So do you want to take a guess at what the faction may be?
Is it the Crimson
There
Dawn?
you go. That's why I keep Nick on the show. All right. He didn't even have to read it. He knew from my poor explanation what I'm getting at. He knew, as I knew when I was reading it, that Jabba was talking about Darth Maul, or Maul, right? Because how could a character like Maul stay hidden for all these years. We're talking like
impossible.
Right. So that's why Jabba's like, I think this could be Crimson Dawn, but the fact that, you know, it doesn't have Maul's stamp on it, and Maul really hasn't been seen in all these years, which we know why, because Kenobi dusted him on Tatooine.
Fucking dead.
But that's what he's thinking. So then we get there, we get back to this faction, and sure as shit, the hooded figure is talking, and she drops a line. She's like, she's talking to her cohorts like, yeah, no, listen. And that's where you get this, hey, Han brings the galaxy together. That's why I made this decision. She's like, you know, Han always wanted to save me in the end.
Wow.
And she flips the hit off, and there she is, Kira.
Dude. That is such a huge...
it was awesome, dude. That's where I was like, because I saw the spoiler on Reddit because I'm an asshole. I was going to read it anyways, but when I saw that, I was like, you know what? If this is the shit they're weaving, I'm going to go ahead and buy all the Afras, the bounty hunters. I am going to fully consume this War of the Bounty Hunters thread because it's so fucking good. And now they're giving us a Solo sequel.
Yeah.
This is it.
I mean, just think about that. So the entire time that Maul has been dead, which is essentially at that point like 16 years, call it. Like around 15 to 16 years.
I'm trying to think, yeah, because, well, maybe not that far, because we're talking, this is still post-ESB.
Yeah, so it's post-ESB, but he got wasted when Luke was still like a kid.
Yeah, I'd say Luke was, well, how old was Ezra then? No, because Luke and Ezra are the same age. We finally figured that out. And so
okay,
I think I'd say 8 to 10 years maybe.
Yeah, I would say 10 years then. He's been dead. So that whole time, not only has Kira been alive, but Kira has been running Crimson Dawn but not underground.
Exactly. She wasn't out there in the open doing business as Crimson Dawn, but she clearly still has a powerful faction behind her. People follow her. She's got resources, right? I mean, she was able to steal fucking Solo from Boba Fett himself. But that's you're right. Insane. So, yeah, she's been playing kind of a slow game. Clearly took over Crimson after Maul got, well, I mean, we have to figure that Maul probably left Crimson Dawn before he was killed. Well, we know he did because he was out looking for Sith holocrons and kind of acting like a weirdo
he was gone.
To find Kenobi. So he gets squirrely probably a few years after the fall of the Empire, and she probably just took it over after Solo. I mean, it probably wasn't long after we see the Solo movie that Maul went batshit, gets himself finally put to rest by his buddy, and then she takes over. So I'm loving it, man. And you know our stance on reading. It's not my favorite thing to do. That comics luckily have more pictures than words. Yeah. But what they're weaving here, this narrative that I can already see it's brilliant. And we're only one main issue in, like I said. And it's going to keep weaving through. Let me check here. I have a roadmap of the, this week we're getting an issue of Bounty Hunter, which should be checking in on the story. I'm just seeing how far out this goes because I believe it reaches into the fall. It's definitely going through August. At least through August, it looks like the current timeline is set, but I think it's going to go even further than that. And I'm going to stay on top of it. I'll probably still only review Star Wars Vader and the proper War of the Bounty Hunters through video, but on the podcast, like we did just here, I will try to fill in gaps from the Bounty Hunter run, the Afra run, and those that I don't cover on a monthly basis. But it's been great so far, from the prelude to the crossovers to War of the Bounty Hunters 1. It's like, fuck yeah. I mean, there's about to be a galaxy-sized shit show that's going to go down because Boba now wants to kill Kira. Kira's trying to get Crimson Dawn back into the fray. You never know what Kira may do now that she has Solo in her possession. I mean, we ultimately know what happens. I mean, we can't speculate too much, but there's still some room they're going to fill in here, and ultimately we'll see how Boba Fett went on one hell of a journey, leaving Bespin to delivering the Jabba's prize. So I'm digging it.
I mean, it is cool. I like how they've re-established the character of Kira, because then it opens up, like you said, potential to bring the Solo, franchise back. Whether it be
again, if they truly aren't going to do it, which I think is a shame, and I don't know. I think there's potential. You've got to make Solo 2. People have gotten over their stupidness from that year. What was it, 2018? Yeah. But they could, if they choose to, they definitely could flesh out more of what they were probably going to do in Solo through this comic run now, because clearly Kira is going to be a main thread. I mean, she fucking took them. She's getting the Hutts to come in. Vader was probably going to find out she has her. The Rebellion probably is going to find it out. So you don't know where it's going to go, but there's a lot of potential to give us more Kira lore, and I'm all for it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it too. So I'm glad that they brought her back in. It seems like this War of the Bounty Hunters thing has finally changed Matt's mind.
It did. I will be. Hey, I'm not a big asshole. It's just like on all the stuff with the virus. I mean, I'm opening my life up a bit more. I'm not going to pick and choose the science. All right. I always followed the science with the virus. I probably followed it more strict than more people, but if they said you're better off just staying the fuck away from people, not going out, okay, I'll do it. And that's what I did. But when they came out, they're like, listen, these vaccines are way better than we fucking thought. If you have one, have at it. Still be a little smart, especially if you're like me and you have a little kid who can't be vaccinated, so I can't just go out there naked and start sucking up virus particles. But, I went to a movie theater last week on vacation. I was out on a boardwalk, no mask. I ate at an outdoor restaurant. All shit I hadn't done for a year. So same thing with Boba Fett. I mean, if you present material to me, I'm not one of these people that's just going to dig my heels in because I said something previously.
Yeah, you have to work with the information that is presented.
Thank you.
Exactly.
And exactly. what I've seen in just the prelude in issue 1 of War of the Bounty Hunters, I am now fully on board with the rest of you saying that Boba Fett was one of the biggest, baddest ass motherfuckers in Star Wars. It's clear at this point. He kicks the fuck out of his own bounty hunters, and everyone is scared of this guy. I mean, anywhere he goes, people are like, oh shit, don't piss him off. So I'm all for it. The Bozo Fett moniker may slowly be removed from my lexicon. All right?
There we go. We've won. We won, everybody. We fucking got him.
Yep.
He's on the Boba train.
From reading of all avenues of media consumption, it's from reading, believe it or not.
From reading. Not a TV show, not a movie, even a video game.
Don't get me wrong. I am a Neo Boba Fett fanboy. Like, because they showed me in Mando what he can do in live action. I am now getting educated to what this dude was up to when he had his fresh green armor during the original trilogy era. So
there we go.
He is a badass. I'll give it to you all now. All right, man. It's time to get into the fan segment. We've taken a little break on the battle just due to all the vacations and travel.
I will kick that back. I mean, we're towards the end of it anyway. I think there's only 2 left, so I will start that again this week.
So we'll kick things off with this week's question to the fans, which, if you follow along, you know what it's about. What was your favorite part of the Bad Batch episode 6, aka the one with the mystery figure? All right, so let's go through some of the response. Oh God, I'll do this long one.
Lights, camera, and I'll grab the rest.
I'll let you do that. Okay, hold on. Let me get a deep breath here. Lights, camera, tentacles definitely had some thoughts here, which I 100% appreciate. All right. Enjoyed it. Hope to see more of the sisters and how their story has developed since last we saw them. Seems like they're affiliated with a certain Force user and perhaps a germinating rebellion? I normally hate the kid characters, but I've warmed to Omega and am enjoying seeing her developing skills and find a place. Feels like the show's other namesake characters are sidelined a bit though, but I'm guessing each with have episodes centered around them too eventually. Remember, we read as written. Predicting we'll see Wrecker return soon and prompt the rest to return to or contact that lady on Camino in hope of putting him and likely Crosshair back to their pre-Order 66 free will personalities. As always, with these shows I'm watching, the backgrounds and side characters more, enjoying the immersion and seeing little droids like Clink or that massive gliding dragon lizard thing. I didn't really click with Rebels much until the second season, and by the third or fourth, it became possibly my favorite slice of Star Wars. So the trick is with these shows is to be patient while plots are weaved and things develop. They are just setting up the pieces at the moment. Well fucking said.
Yes. Well,
all right,
said.
that's basically what I try to explain to everyone when they get upset about short episodes or filler episodes. That's it right there. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's all you need to say about it. Lights, camera, tentacles knocked it out. All right, up next.
Yeah. Up next, we're going to Zabrak Captain. He says the last part when Wrecker is having a bad moment with his headache and they need to use the droids to defend themselves. And of course, when a mysterious character appears in the last minutes. So yeah, everybody's really into that tease. I mean, I think Lights, Camera, Tentacles has kind of said he thinks it's going to be a Force user. So Ahsoka here, and then this Zabrak Captain here also into the mysterious character.
Oh yeah, I mean that's probably the biggest little cliffhanger tease they've given us yet in Bad Batch, where we had to go like, oh wait, hold on, and I knew they were going to do it. I was like, this is going to be the end of the episode. Maybe we'll get their contact. And then when they turn the camera, I was like, fuck.
Dude, at a certain point, I think we may need... I mean, if it is Ahsoka, and even if it's not Ahsoka in this moment, I think Ahsoka is going to play into Bad Batch. We need to accept the fact that, like, Ahsoka is the main character of Star Wars. Not Luke, not Anakin, Ahsoka, because she's been there from fucking...
Yeah, you're right. I mean...
Clone Wars... till
the main
now Mando,
like the main good character, the one character that kind of stayed even Steven throughout the whole her whole journey.
Like she's been through the whole
You're not
thing.
wrong, man. You're not wrong.
And it's not even out of the realm of possibility that if we have expanded sequel content that she could be there, because to this point she's still alive.
Right.
Like there's no reason for us to believe that she's dead during the sequel timeline. So
correct, because I mean, who knows? You would imagine a lot of these alien races in Star Wars have longer lifetimes than we do. So I mean, a Togruta could very easily get up into the hundreds and still look young and beautiful with those neck tails and sexy orange skin. Ooh.
Exactly.
If you're a new listener, I kind of have a thing for Star Wars alien women, especially Twi'leks and Togrutas. It's don't ask.
Exactly. All right. Next up, we have the Forces with Jesse, and this was a moment we talked about. Is there an echo in here?
Yeah. It was brilliant.
And then pictures by R2-D2 responds, and he says that's one of the highlights of the series so far. And that's not a criticism. I'm really enjoying the show, but that was a laugh out loud moment.
I do remember. I was like, holy shit. It kind of seemed out of place, but I think that's why it works so well. It really was a brilliantly funny, just little exchange that I forget the writer, but, kudos to them. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Really is there an echo in here? Yes, I'm here. It's like...
Perfect.
All right.
Just perfectly done. All right, Lima 4 Photos says just the fact that it had the sisters in it, it may not have been intended, but it's like a big FU to toxic fans who like hating on each and every little thing, even if they don't realize that the very things that they're hating on is part of the reason they enjoy the rest of the whole universe anyway. I mean, that's what Matt and I have been trying to get across is that episodes like that with the Martez sisters at the end, at the beginning of Clone Wars season 7, and now with the Martez sisters here, that's what builds the universe, like that kind of little stuff. So well said.
And he's right, and it is funny how some of the fans are, but I can promise you, some of the biggest Ahsoka fans right now were probably also some of the fans that were bitching and moaning when she was introduced in the Clone Wars movie.
Yeah, they fucking hated her.
You just gotta let things play out.
Yeah,
They're
also probably the ones that can tell you the names of all of the characters in the cantina and all that stuff. It's like, okay, so that little, like those little details are okay, but introducing new characters and having them show up in properties is not okay. It's just so dumb.
Yeah, so Lima took a little more of our approach to explaining that, which Lights, Camera, Tentacles did a much more highfalutin type of take on it, like a much more educated, much more not educated, but it's just it was not as to the point and in your face.
Yeah. All right, Mando mugshots. The last one up here. He says the credits.
There you go. I knew we had a filler episode person out there.
He says, joking aside, I did enjoy Sid's badass demonstration of how to use a laser bow or whatever it is. It shows she has not forgotten her Trandoshan roots.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I like Sid as a character.
She's great, man. It's Ray Perlman. I mean, it's like, come on.
Yeah. She's kind of playing the same type of character that I can't, like, you'll remember the name in Resistance. Who was the cantina keeper?
Ah, fuck.
It's hard.
You got me on that one.
I know.
You got me on that one.
We talked a lot about her during the Resistance series too.
Nope,
and
you're spot on. You're 100% right.
Yeah. And Sid is playing a very similar character.
She's a hard ass, you know. I mean,
yeah,
and she definitely can take care of herself. I mean, when she grabs that bow, she's like, ching, 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 bullseye, bullseye, bullseye. So yeah, that was good.
Yeah, she's
all right.
She's great. I do love Sid. So that's the end of the question of the week. So that's going to take us into the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week.
Yeah, Nick's finally back to picking them. I the past 2 weeks I've done the top. I've done a top 10 essentially. So
yeah, I know, right? So now it's all my stuff. So all of you people who were sliding by on Matt's picks, now it's all me again.
You have to do this. It's cheating when I do it because again, I usually do this spiel just in case we have new listeners and they want to get in on the fan segment. So a lot of our direct fan interaction either takes place through our Discord, which you can find via our Instagram account. Just hit our bio link. You can get it right there, or Instagram itself. So the fan question of the week, every Tuesday in the morning, typically, I will post it. You can reply via the stories or the post. And these days, it's not too hard to pick them because no one likes to play along. But there used to be a point in time where we had to whittle them down to the best 5 or 10 comments. So that's one way to kind of get read or included on the show. The other way here is in the top 5, and this is kind of our bread and butter. This is what infused us with the toy artistry community on Instagram. But every day we feature up to 12 shots from the Star Wars fan art community. And all we ask is that you tag our account at Star Wars Time Show and use our hashtag Star Wars Time Show. That way, every morning when I wake up and I'm laying there with my little kid to kind of get her ass out of bed, I look through all the new fresh tags, I give you a like, and if they really stand out, it's going to get featured on that day or put into our features folder to be shared another day. Then at the end of the week, after 6-7 days of Matt sharing 12 shots a day, Nick has the task of picking his 5 favorite from that lot, and then we reboot it and do it the next week. So that's how to get involved. Follow us on Instagram, use at Star Wars Time Show in any of your Star Wars artwork. It doesn't have to be toy photography. It could be anything. Like Vincent today, we're talking about his real ass paint skills. And it was funny, as a real ass painter, he still really couldn't describe what style he paints in. At least when he moved to digital, because he started airbrushing on canvas. He's like, yeah, I guess it's still sort of airbrushing. So real ass paint is kind of a good, just broad descriptor for real artists.
It covers everything. And,
I had to when I had him on before we went live, I was like, listen, we're kind of stupid when it comes to art. So if you hear me say real ass paint at all, that's just one of our buzzwords. So just go with it, buddy.
That's one of our terms.
Yeah, we're idiots.
It covers all spectrums of.
Yeah, but anyway, so we'll do real art, tattoos, cosplay. Hell, even some of these days we get some very lovely looking women are sending shots of themselves either wearing Mandalorian helmets or whatnot.
Cosplay.
Yeah, I mean, have at it. But that's what the top 5 comes from. So if you do want to get involved, it's done through Instagram. But let's go, Nick. Who'd you pick? Who are the 5 winners this week?
It's a very prestigious 5. No, so the first one up this week is at Figure Battles, and I love this. This is a little crossover mashup, I think. And correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but that looks like, is that like a Bullseye head sculpt?
Yeah, that's 100% figure? Bullseye from the Marvel Legends line of figures.
There we go. So what we have here is Bullseye dressed in a full Stormtrooper outfit, and he is being held down on his knees by none other than Din Djarin in his full Beskar getup, and he's got the pistol right to Bullseye's neck. And
it's the face, man. It is. It's the heads, and I think Spa Spencer has done this. I think he's used wrestling characters' heads on like rebel soldier bodies. But the same thing, like you get these just, if you're not watching on the live, make sure to pull up the post on StarWarsTime.net. But they have these expressions of just like either sheer pain or anger. And Bullseye he's like, as Din has him in a headlock and he's about to pop his head off, he's like, ah! Like oh shit, I'm gonna fucking die. This is it. Ah! It's just such an emotive expression. And that's really what kind of sold the shot to me and clearly to Nick.
Yeah, it's a fantastic job.
Really
I mean,
is.
posing's really well done. Obviously, that bullseye head sculpt really pops it to another dimension. But even like the background and everything that he's got set up here really sells the setup.
Yeah,
so,
you could almost, if we didn't know it was Bullseye, you could almost say like maybe this was like the last remnant of the clones wearing the Stormtrooper armor. You know how clones would personalize themselves. This one just decided to burn a bullseye into his forehead.
Yeah, put it right into his fucking head.
Not much different than what Jesse did with that.
I would say Jesse had it
fucking
tattooed on his face.
Republic logo was right on his face. So
yeah. So I mean, who knows? Maybe it is. Maybe we'll see one like that eventually. But At Figure Battles did a fantastic job with this crossover mashup. So good job. At Figure Battles on Instagram. Next up is a good friend of the show, maybe. I don't know. Black Series, do you still listen to us? Are you still out there?
I know
SRS?
he tunes in when we do the top 5. And he always responds, not that we're asking, listen, we're not idiots. We understand that by featuring art like we get from At Black Series and really anyone we feature, we all think it's fantastic stuff. We do realize that has helped add to our cred. Right? That has helped build our Instagram account. I'm not a fucking idiot. But I'm also not going to be a pay. I don't want to call myself a feature page either. But I'm not going to be someone like you have to acknowledge us if we share your shit. I could care less. I get more butthurt when people forget to tag us or stop tagging us overall. But in terms of like, you need to pay your respect to us if we pick you, it's like, hey, whatever. I mean, hopefully you stick with us and you like our content just based on our own merit, right? You like listening to our dumbasses talk about this type of stuff. But yeah, he actually, I mean, Zay hit me back today. He's like, oh, thanks, brothers. I appreciate it. And typically every time we release an episode, he at least goes through and watches the top 5. I don't know if he consumes the whole shit show that the SWTS is, but he definitely will listen to himself be praised by myself and yourself.
As will most people. But this shot that Zay has here is just, I mean,
it's why he's one of the best. I mean,
yeah, it's top notch, top level. I mean, it looks like this could have come right from a poster for the Bad Batch. So what we see is Crosshair and Hunter just kind of standing there in the snow. So Crosshair standing, got
it's kind of like from the first episode, right? When they're in the snowy forest.
Mm-hmm. And then you got Hunter kind of kneeling down, pulling his knife out of its sheath on his forearm, and they seem like they have a target in their sights. They're both kind of looking off into the distance, getting ready for battle. And the setup here is just fantastic. I mean, it looks like a real snow-covered environment, like you saw in episode 1 of the Bad Batch.
I'm glad you brought that up, because to me, that's one of my favorite aspects of what at BLK SRS does, Black Series. A lot of people that get to his following and level, they'll start getting into building intricate, like ridiculously detailed dioramas. In fact, go check out at Jason B. Michael's most recent Mezco shot. I think he actually works with them now, so awesome for him. But he built like an alleyway wall with graffiti and shit on it. It is absolutely impressive looking. It's almost more impressive than the shot itself. But people like him, Plastic Action, Work More or Less, Nose Rain, they kind of get into building these insanely detailed dioramas to create their shots. For the most part, what Zay does, he rolls out into like his fucking garage or backyard, throws up a black sheet, and he'll throw in some practical items like rocks and twigs, and still produces these, just as Nick said, poster quality, almost live action, real life quality looking shots. And he's not really relying on, and I'm not saying the people that use those dios are hacks. Fuck. I'm jealous of not only their ability to take very dynamic looking shots of toys, but the fact that they can build out that the scenery behind them, that is just as impressive as the photography itself.
Yeah.
But someone like me that doesn't want to quite deal with that side of the hobby and does or started just going outside and slapping things down and using natural environment, I am always impressed by what he is able to create with, limited material.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fantastic, and it's hard to believe that is just like you said, him in his
and
garage.
He does videos for everything. So like he'll show you how the snow was laid down, how the snow effect was used. It's all practical. He literally like swept the fucking patch in his backyard, put up a black backdrop for the background, threw in some rocks, and then used whatever substance, I forget the substance he went with, and here we are. And that's at BLK SRS. I mean, there's a reason why he's one of the top dogs in the toy photography community.
Indeed. All right, so at BLK SRS, like Matt was saying, fantastic job with the Bad Batch shots.
I forget who I was looking at recently. I think it was Plastic Action. I think he's hit he's approaching like 250,000 followers now.
Wow. I mean, he gets shared a lot on SportsCenter.
His shit, and he's getting like commission from celebrities to do shit with their figures. I mean, Jax, we all look at Bananas as the godfather, but in terms of when I got into the hobby and just seeing where Jax was at then and then now, it's like that guy to me has really fucking taken the bull by the horns and has really, really done some fantastic stuff and probably changed his life a little bit with this hobby. Yeah, dude.
I mean, that like he may be able to do that for a living
I would think
now.
So.
Like that may be his
I would think so.
Full-time job.
I would think so.
So,
all right, who do we got next?
Claps up to BLK SRS. Next up, we have one of our favorite, like, I guess you would call them digital photo manipulators, like kind of Photoshop artists. And this is at phase_runner. And this is a juxtaposition shot or
it's a follow-up
piece to what he did a couple weeks ago. So a couple weeks ago,
I'll go to his account so they can see it on the live stream.
So we saw an image from him where he has Luke's hand and saber falling down.
I'll never join you.
Exactly, the Bespin Trench.
Right.
And then now we have Vader's hand and saber falling down the Death Star 2 little pit, and it's the quotation under it is "You were right."
One of my favorite lines. It's when he's sitting there dying. He's like, "Tell your sister, Luke, you were right."
I know, it's just such a powerful image and quote next to each other.
He finally admits to his son. I see.
He's getting emotional. It's hitting him.
Fucking end of Return of the Jedi, and Vader and his son gets me every time. But he finally admits, he's like, you know what? You were always right. You knew me better than I knew myself, and it wasn't for you, I probably would have killed you. I probably would have watched you die and allowed the Emperor to continue to carry out his reign of terror.
That's right, man. So, this image here, like I said, all of Phase Runner's work is usually done in Photoshop. He's a expert digital photo manipulator, and his excuse me, his stuff is really just fantastic. It looks like it's movie quality, it's poster quality.
It's
just
not
like
even like his quality is top notch. I think even more so than his abilities, it's the ideas he comes up with.
Yeah.
Like this concept just to show the severed hand falling. Like, Vader had the same thing. It was a mere moment. I mean, his son in a fit of anger did the same thing that he did to him one movie prior. And it's a brilliant idea. That's the type of stuff that will forever elude me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Just sitting there going, hey, you know what? I think this would make a great kind of art poster thing. I'm going to show Luke's hand falling down the pit and put his quote. And sure as shit, we eat it up.
I'm glad that Phase Runner has a shop. So if you go to his IG, you can click on the link tree and you can buy his official prints, which are prints that he's selling of official properties. So you got a couple of Star Wars ones on there, a few Star Wars ones. You got one Indiana Jones one. But he also has, which I think is really cool, his original work that is not tied to any particular property. And this one, I mean, like I may buy, you know, I'm on a mission to support all the creators out there that we show some love to. This Hollow
You hear
Rain
that?
picture.
So
that
when I
has,
ask for your support, let's go. Nick is now, he's following through on our end, so let's go. All we ask are for some likes, ratings, and reviews. This guy's shelling out some cash.
maybe go drop a couple dollars to Manscaped using our code as well. But I mean, this thing I may buy. Like, I'm right on the fence. I may just add this to cart and purchase right now.
All right.
Because this image that he has up here, this Hollow Rain one on his original art pieces, is just beautiful.
See? If you get mixed up with the Star Wars Time Show for the top 5, you could actually end up making money. Okay?
Yeah, I still have my Savvy piece back
what
there.
What else do you want from us?
We're
now paying all of you to watch us.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Man. And then same for Black Series too. Black Series, you can go get NFTs if you are into NFTs. You can get prints on his website as well. Hit up his.
It's funny.
His
I asked Vincent about NFTs and if he was doing it. He's like, yeah, I've tried, but he's like, I can't use any of my Star Wars stuff. It's all owned. All owned by Lucasfilm. So he's like,
yeah. So you can't.
Yeah.
Do
he's like,
any
I
of
just
that.
come up with like spaceships and shit in my head. So
yeah, and then you could be like created by the concept artist behind Solo, Rogue One, and Rebels.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
But yeah, Phase Runner, fantastic job. At Phase_Runner on IG. Hit him up.
Yep.
Next up for the top 5,
right.
I know this man is in the chat right now.
He's in the chat. We appreciate that.
He's been in the chat the whole time too. This is at Drew Originals, and he's got a fucking cool ass shot. So what we're looking at here is Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker jumping in, saber drawn back, ready to just fucking chop not only this stormtrooper in half, but the entire vehicle that he is driving. He's just gonna cut it completely through.
This is Luke being. It's like he's on some rocket fuel, right? It's like he's had a hit of coaxium. Because you know, Luke, we've even seen Luke in the Mando now. We know what he can do, and he was still quite. It was almost like a dance he was doing with those dark troopers, right? I mean, he really wasn't coming in and doing the heavy swings like his dad would. It was like a ballet almost. In this shot, Drew Original's like, nah, fuck this. This is Rambo Luke. You know, this is Luke. Like I said, he's hopped up on some coaxium or something because he is way up in the air, both arms over his head, lightsaber drawn. As Nick said, when that thing comes down, it's probably chopping this patrol trooper in half and the rest of his bike. Indeed. And it looks like what are they on? Corellia, maybe? I mean, that
it looks like it's Corellia. I'm gonna venture out, unless you're in like the bowels of Coruscant, like you're in one of the lower regions where things are a little bit more grimy. But that is definitely Corellia.
This looks like knowing Drew Original's work, I think there's a mix of some practical in here, maybe some aerosol going on. And a possible digirama set up here for the background. But yeah, it's a great action shot. I mean, it's good posing there, and like I said, it might be a little out of character for Luke, at least what we've seen on screen. But I think that kind of what draws your eye to it. You got him up there, nice little lens flare on the green, and he's coming down with some force, no pun intended.
Yeah, exactly. So. Fantastic job there by Drew Originals. Give him a follow on the IG.
Yeah,
let me check. Does Drew have his own shot?
He confirmed it was supposed to be a Corellia shot. So
there we go. See, we just know. We just know.
We're good like that.
I'm loading up Drew's page now. No shot, but hey, if you give him some support on the IG, you like his stuff.
Listen, I mean, the way Nick is now, just send him a Venmo pay me link, and maybe he'll just fucking pay some money.
Hey, look, I will say, during this conversation, I have successfully placed my order for that Phase Runner print.
Look at this shit. Watch the Star Wars Time Show, make some money. You never know.
My girlfriend Taylor keeps annoying me because in our bedroom, she has her side of the bed has a wall, my side of the bed has a wall. Her side of the bed's wall has a ton of shit on. She's got shelves. She's got pieces,
yours is what just lazy man blank, like nothing.
Bare ass wall, nothing there. I gotta fill it in. Yeah. I gotta fill it in.
Well, I think it's a great
So-
thing you're doing, Nick. You know, just it'd be nice if the fans could, you know, at least give us a reviewer rating. No money
Reviewer
required.
That's all we need. But no, I mean, these are fantastic artists, and I want them to be appreciated for their art. So
Listen to the
Drew
Star Wars
Originals.
Time Show. We'll pay you.
There we go. He said he'll send a print. Drew Originals on IG. Give him a follow. Fantastic.
No, I've
photographer.
I've followed Drew for a few years now. I remember when he first popped up. So while Haywood Pop is dying a slow death, I mean, it's been a mix of things that have prevented me from doing a shoot in almost 6 weeks now. But I'm starting to get a little anxious to do so. Nick, you weren't here last week, but when I got back from vacation, I had over $1,000 of Hot Toys pre-orders waiting for me. My 1-to-1 Grogu finally showed up, and he's a gem. I love him. He's sitting over there on my desk right now. I think he's perfect.
Nice.
The 1/6 Heavy Mando, the 1/6 IG-11. Oh my God.
Dude.
I showed him.
Yeah,
I showed him last week. I'm not going to break him out. So I got all these figures sitting here, and it's been, like I said, 6 weeks because I remember it was the week before I got my second shot, because the week of my second shot I couldn't move. The week after that I had some work thing to do. The week after that I kind of pissed off my dad, and he hasn't been back in a month, so we haven't had anyone to watch my kid. So I've lost out on any of that type of time to do that. But getting back from vacation, always looking at everyone's work every day. I found that General Skywalker. I've got Hawk. I've got some of the Bad Batch. I'm like, all right, dude, it's time to break it out. But hey, this isn't about me. I've gotten a lot better. I think people need to, if there are people that used to get offended or just got bored with me bitching and moaning about my own personal IG life, that's almost been killed, wouldn't you say? Like, I really don't do that anymore. I've come to a good place with the toy photography hobby personally, to where I don't quite feel that I need to do it every week. I don't think I've shared more than a shot a week at this point in time. I've taken 2 or 3 weeks off of Instagram. I've watched my follower count just drop and drop. I've seen my reaction to new shots drop because Instagram's like, fuck you, you don't play every day anymore, so we're gonna hide you even worse. And it's like, all right, I really just want to get out there and do it. Like, I want to do the hobby again because I got these figures, and I think they'd make some good shots. But anyways, back to the top 5. That was at Drew Originals. Now we're moving on to Nick's next pick.
Yeah, the final pick.
The final
the
pick.
5th one. This is a brand new top 5er. This is at Zicky, ZIKY 200, Zicky 200.
All right.
And we have an awesome action shot of Miss Bo-Katan Kryze, the rightful leader of Mandalore, running through battle, 2 pistols drawn, in her Night Owls get up. Yep. And I mean, it's a really cool action shot. You got dirt kicking up from the bottom. It just really captures the essence of that warrior. This is Zeke style
100%. Like, he's really, they, I guess, U.S. Marine, Semper Fi. But yeah, I'm on his page now if you're on the live stream, and it really has kind of perfected that gritty action shot, you know, like practical particle effects, good dynamic action poses for the figures. Look at this one. This one, I believe, is in the feature folder. I think it is. It's his most recent one of Bo-Katan, like sliding down a wall that he dedicated to at CG Rock, who we've talked about on the top 5. But yeah, Zeke's really good at, I'd almost call them like action portraits, right?
Like close-up action, yeah. Whereas like everything Kylo is like a little bit pulled out. You get more of like an action scene. Right. Zicky is like in your face. This is the action on this one particular. Yeah.
That's definitely a better way to describe it. I'm stupid. It's not a portrait is a portrait. It's fucking static. Like these do not feel static at all. Each one of Zeke's shots, Zeke 200, you can feel the characters running, their motion, all that jazz.
Indeed, yeah. So beautiful shot at Zeke 200, ZIKY 200 on the IG, and that's the end of the top 5. Everybody, we did it. Me and Matt did a show together for the first time in a while. So. It's nice to have a co-pilot back in the seat.
It is. I mean, the solo shows aren't bad. I mean, I know I had diarrhea at the mouth, so I mean, I can sit there and blab and listen to myself a lot. I mean, that's a me problem, but I have had a real fun show today with Nick being back, and then obviously opening with that interview, which I really didn't have to do much. I mean, hopefully I asked the right questions and you all heard some of the stories you wanted to hear, but I think Vincent was just fantastic. Like, his story is something that I would pay to experience. I mean, just the way his life kind of fell into order with what he wanted to do from an early age is just brilliant. And it just goes to show you, if you have a passion and you kind of work towards it your whole life, you can make great things happen. Yes, there was a lot of kismet, I think, for him, and people were in the right place, right time, but that typically happens to those who work hard and want something. So yeah, it was a good show. If you didn't hear the interview early on, the recording, it's weird on YouTube. Like sometimes the show is available to some of you right when we're done. Other times, I know our buddy Greg, who has said like he's looked and he can't find the recording, and that's usually because YouTube, once we hit end stream, they need to process shit and make an HD version and all that crap. But it should be ready for sure by tomorrow when we release the audio only version of the podcast. So if you are new here, hey, welcome to the Star Wars Time Show. It is time to put episode 165 to bed. But before we leave, if you are new or if you're old, we just want to remind you about StarWarsTime.net and why you need to keep that domain in the back of your brain. That is our home. That is where our content goes that we talk about on the show. It's also where you can find all of the links you need to get us on the podcast platform of your choice, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that fun stuff. So StarWarsTime.net. If you're not already subbed to a podcast platform, even if you don't listen to one, just go ahead and do it. Think about Nick buying art from the artist. Just go to Apple Podcasts, click the stars, drop a little review. I can't tell you how much that does for us in the show, because we have to appease to the AI overlords at this point in time. What are people liking on the internet? More reviews equals more likes equals better search results equals more new fans. And you all know I've got a black hole in my soul that needs to be filled by other Star Wars fans thinking I am someone worth listening to. That's the best way I can describe it. It is a mental problem. It's something I will eventually need to get over based on the way we gain followers, which is not a great pace in my mind. I mean, we'll gain 100, we'll lose 500. We'll gain 50, we'll lose another 1,000. That's kind of how we roll. But seriously, just ratings, reviews, likes, comments on the platforms, and reshares. If you love this, let your followers know you love it. I know how I am sometimes when I'm on socials. If someone I like, has something in their stories or they post about it, I'll go check it out. I trust them. I'm following them for a reason, so they can't be that stupid, right? Same thing with Star Wars Time Show. Start sharing some of our news posts when we do it, right? Instead of you using, start using our stuff. Let them know that you believe in the Star Wars Time Show. You think these two idiots are worth listening to at least one time a week, and maybe for a few decent posts on their social media. But again, StarWarsTime.net, that's where you can get all the information, all the links you need. The YouTube's on there, all the podcast platforms, like I said. And don't forget, I think this is maybe the last day or last week. If you use SWTS at manscaped.com, you'll save 20% off and get free shipping on anything you buy from Manscaped at manscaped.com. All right, my friends, it's time to do the thing. We know there's always time for Star Wars time, but there's also time for us to not Star Wars time, and that time is now. But I'll leave you with this. And those of you disciples that have been along or been around for the long haul, you know this, but we must say it every time. If you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you. Always.